Chapter 1079. Jia Yubian carefully analyzed the situation. No matter how he thought about it, he felt that there were many suspicious points. However, he couldn't figure out what was going on. Oh, that seems to be the case. After listening to his father's analysis, Jia Huiyan also felt that something was amiss. Maybe Tang Qianling just wants to use Tang Surjiao as an experiment. How about this? After she marries me, I will ban her from continuing to practice that secret manual, in case she accidentally causes any problems. Currently, Jia Huiyan's mind was focused on getting rid of Jia Muzin and Xiao Chen. As for his fiancée and experimenting with the secret manual, it would be left for later. Jia Yubian didn't object. If Tang Surjiao wanted to practice during this period of time, he would let her practice. If she could really master the 5 poisons secret manual, that would naturally be great. It would also be helpful for Jia Huiyan to manage the family in the future. Even if she couldn't master it, it didn't matter. In his opinion, as long as a woman knew how to manage the family and carry on the family line, it was fine. The two of them whispered in the room for a while and discussed the follow-up details. At night, Jia Huiyan went out in high spirits. Before he left, he even found a servant to clean up his messy room. The next morning, a vigorous figure came from the back mountain of the Jia family. It was Jia Jinyan, who had just returned from his morning exercise. As he had been busy with the family competition and had to entertain the visiting guests, Jia Jinyan almost didn't have time to exercise. Today, he finally had some free time, so he went to exercise for a while. In fact, Jia Jinyan liked to exercise in the back mountain for another reason. In the past, when he was exercising in the morning, he accidentally discovered a hidden place in the back mountain that was very helpful for recovering from his internal injuries. He had secretly investigated for a long time, but he still couldn't figure out the reason. Later on, he decided not to investigate further. In any case, it seemed to be beneficial and harmless. When he passed by the kitchen, Jia Jinyan originally planned to go in and eat breakfast. However, when he turned his head, he just happened to see a sneaky figure sneaking in from the side door. Jia Jinyan's eyes flashed, and he immediately became alert. He quickly used his movement technique to follow, wanting to see what this person was going to do. With light steps, he arrived at the side door. Jia Jinyan held his breath and concealed his figure. He secretly turned his head and looked through the gap in the door. The sneaky man was dressed in black and had a black mask covering his face. He was walking towards the stove where the breakfast was placed. Jia Jinyan remained calm and continued to watch silently. There was a detection device at the entrance of the kitchen. Dangerous items could not be brought in, but this man in black had walked in so easily. Could it be that he had another purpose? The man in black walked to the stove and looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, he stretched out his hand and closed his eyes, as if he was preparing something. Gradually, a ball of purple light appeared in his hand, emitting strange ripples. The black-clothed man injected the ball of light into one of the breakfasts. Seeing this scene, Jia Jinyan turned pale with fright. He didn't expect the man in black to have such a trick. He wanted to poison the breakfast. He was planning to poison the Jia family to death. How dare you? How dare you put poison in your food? I think you are tired of living. Jia Jinyan shouted. He pushed open the kitchen door and slapped at the black-clothed man. Although he was furious, Jia Jinyan didn't use his full strength. He only used 70% of his strength. First, he didn't know the strength of the black-clothed man, so he didn't dare to attack without defending. Second, he wanted to keep him alive, so that he could interrogate the mastermind behind the scenes. What? The black-clothed man, who was concentrating on poisoning the breakfasts, was startled by Jia Jinyan's roar. He turned his head subconsciously and suddenly felt a fierce qi coming at him. The purple light in the black-clothed man's hand disappeared without a trace. He made an extremely fast reaction and quickly dodged to the side. Boom! With a loud noise, a big hole was blown in the wall of the kitchen. Although the black-clothed man avoided the fierce qi and was not injured, the black mask wrapped around his face was shattered by Jia Jinyan's qi, revealing an exquisite and beautiful face. If Xiao Chun were at the scene, he would be so shocked that he couldn't speak. The black-clothed man in front of him was Tang Tang, who had been missing for a long time. The huge explosion attracted a lot of people. The first to arrive were the flustered servants of the Jia family. A team of patrolling guards heard the sound and immediately ran over. Seeing Jia Jinyan and the black-clothed man standing in front of them, they immediately surrounded Tang Tang. "Bold madman, you dare to behave atrociously in the Jia family's territory and try to harm the old master. You are insane." The guard captain saw that the hole in the wall was behind the black-clothed man, and Jia Jinyan was still in the state of slapping. He instantly understood the situation in front of him, so he stood up and loudly rebuked. Tang Tang didn't seem to hear the guard captain's rebuke at all. She still stared at Jia Jinyan, with her hands apart, and made a defensive posture. The guard captain was directly ignored, and he was a little angry. He waved to the others and shouted, "Go! Capture this fellow who doesn't want to live." "Yes, sir," the guards responded in unison. At the same time, they ran their mental cultivation methods and rushed to Tang Tang fiercely. Tang Tang didn't seem to care about these guys pouncing on her. She still stood there with a blank expression. She raised her right hand and waved it around casually. A few strange purple lights suddenly lit up and pounced on those guards. "Be careful." Jia Jinyan's face changed when he keenly felt the horror of the purple light. He wanted to warn those guards, but it was too late. At the same time, those guards were all hit by the purple light and were forced to stop rushing forward. They groaned and fell to the ground with a painful face. It didn't take long for all of them to die, and no one was spared. Jia Jinyan was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He didn't expect that he intended to be merciful, but the girl's every move was fatal. He was angry and said with a gloomy face, "I will give you one last chance. As long as you are willing to tell me who ordered you to poison me, I will let you die in one piece." Although Jia Jinyan's tone was very cold, and his aura was very oppressive, Tang Tang didn't seem to listen to his words at all. She didn't even look at those guards who fell to the ground. She still stood there motionless, looking at Jia Jinyan with a blank eyes and a stiff face. At this time, Jia Huoyan and Jia Tiao finally arrived, and so did Jia Yubian and Jia Yudo. But at this time, everyone's attention was focused on Jia Jinyan and Tang Tang. No one noticed that Jia Huoyan and Jia Yubian didn't come from the direction of their residence, but from an abandoned room nearby. Chapter 1080. In fact, Jia Huoyan and Jia Yubian had chosen a place to hide in a nearby room to observe the situation. They didn't expect that Tang Tang would be so unlucky to be caught by Jia Jinyan. They could only watch Tang Tang dodge the attack and kill a group of guards. Originally, they didn't want to show themselves so soon, but seeing Jia Tuyao and Jia Yudo coming, they knew that it would be inappropriate for them to not show themselves. Therefore, they had no choice but to sneak out of the room when no one noticed them. On the other hand, Jia Huoyan and Jia Yubian were also a little worried. Although Tang Tang looked a little dumb and didn't speak, they would be in big trouble if she suddenly sold them out under Jia Jinyan's coercion. "Fine. Since you don't want to say it, don't blame me for being rude." Jia Jinyan waited for a while. Seeing that Tang Tang turned a deaf ear to him, and the guards' corpses lying on the ground, he was also angry. He warned her coldly, and immediately showed the strength of the 10th level of the Venerable Realm. He used all his strength and slapped Tang Tang's chest out of thin air. A violent chi made a terrible air-breaking sound, and swept toward the direction where Tang Tang stood. To everyone's surprise, she did not retreat at all this time. She also raised her hand and slammed her palm heavily, but the power was obviously much weaker than Jia Jinyan's palm wind. Bang! The palm wind from the two sides collided with each other in an instant. Tang Tang's chi did not even stop for a moment, and was directly swallowed up. Then she was blasted out, and fell heavily on the ground not far away. Then she opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was pale, and it was obvious that she was seriously injured. Jia Huoyan and Jia Yubian quietly looked at each other. Both felt a little pity. Seeing Jia Jinyan's powerful palm, they thought that Tang Tang would be killed. They didn't expect that she was still alive, but after looking at each other, their eyes went in different directions. Jia Huoyan stared at Tang Tang, who fell on the ground. Looking at her pale face, It was estimated that she wouldn't live long. Now Jia Huiyan only hoped that she would die quickly. Since her whereabouts had been exposed, it was useless to force herself to live. As for Jia Yubian, he looked at Jia Jinyan, who was as steady as Mount Tai. Jia Yubian's expression became a little unpredictable when he failed to kill Tang Tang with his palm. His eyes flashed as if he was thinking about something. "You're lucky that you're still alive after being hit by my palm. I pity you as a weak woman, and don't want to take your life. If you're willing to tell me who the mastermind is now, I may let you run your own course. Otherwise." Jia Jinyan did not notice Jia Yubian's eyes. He walked slowly to Tang Tang and stared at her, as if he was looking at a dead person. He condensed martial qi in his hands, but he did not immediately make a move. Jia Jinyan still wanted to get some clues from Tang Tang. This woman was obviously used as a tool, so he didn't want Tang Tang to die so easily. At least, he wanted to know who wanted to frame the Jia family with such a despicable method of poisoning. Tang Tang struggled for a while and spat out another mouthful of blood. She gritted her teeth and tried to stand up, but she failed several times. She didn't say a word and just stared at Jia Jinyan with an unyielding look. "Grandfather, don't waste your breath on this bitch. Just slap her to death. Look at her strange appearance. She's definitely a death warrior. There's no way to reason with her." Jia Huiyan jumped in fright. His back was drenched in cold sweat, and he hastily chimed in. This grandpa was really something. He was about to die, so why didn't you just send him to the Western Paradise with a palm strike? Still asking all sorts of questions, isn't this scary? If there were not so many people around, Jia Huiyan would like to kill Tang Tang by himself to avoid endless troubles in the future. "You're the only one who has so much to say. Don't blabber on about useless things. Get lost." Jia Jinyan frowned in disapproval. Just as he was about to speak, he heard a familiar voice. Plop! Before the people present could react, Jia Huiyan was suddenly pushed from behind. Caught off guard, he fell directly into the flower bed next to him, and his body was covered with mottled mud. F***ck. Xiao Chen, what's the meaning of this? You dared to hit me. Do you not want to leave the Jia family alive? Jia Huiyan almost fell to the ground. He looked up and found that the person was Xiao Chen. He suddenly flew into a rage, stood up, pointed at him and scolded. Xiao Chen didn't seem to hear Jia Huiyan's scolding at all. He went straight to the place where Tang Tang fell. Jia Huiyan was even angrier. When he was about to rush out and pull Xiao Chen back, he saw Jia Muzin coming from behind. "Don't shout, Jia Huiyan. It's just a fall. What's the big deal?" "It's not a big deal. Why are you shouting like a girl? Don't you have a future?" Jia Muzin glared at Jia Huiyan with contempt, and then walked to Xiao Chen's side. You guys." Jia Huiyan was about to explode. He jumped and wanted to curse Jia Muzin, but he was pulled back by Jia Yubian. Jia Yubian winked at his son and nudged Jia Jinyan with his mouth, indicating that Jia Jinyan was the young patriarch, and the old patriarch was also present. If he really cursed at Jia Jinyan, he obviously wouldn't get any benefits, and it would be easy to ask for trouble. Jia Huiyan understood Jia Yubian's look. He could only suppress the anger in his heart, swallow his anger, pat off the dust on his body, and stood aside with a black face. "Tang Tang, why are you here? Who hurt you?" Xiao Chen quickly walked to Tang Tang's side, squatted down, and gently helped her up, leaning on his arms. He circulated his true qi to heal her, and asked softly with a dignified expression. Since breaking through to the nascent soul stage, Xiao Chen felt that his telepathy seemed to be a lot sharper. Just now, he was still in Jia Muzin's courtyard, a little far from the kitchen. He didn't hear the loud sound of Jia Jinyan's attack, but he had been faintly feeling a bad premonition, and it was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed to be guiding him to a certain place. Following that premonition, Xiao Chen walked to the vicinity of the kitchen. Jia Muzin was originally chatting with Xiao Chen, but when he saw this, he also inexplicably followed. After walking to the side of the kitchen, Xiao Chen found a group of people not far away. At this time, the feeling of uneasiness in his heart reached the peak. He didn't wait to observe the situation, and immediately rushed over. After pushing Jia Huiyan away, Xiao Chen saw a lot of people lying straight in the center of the crowd. Most of them were dead, When a person in black on the ground raised his head, Xiao Chen found that it was Tang Tang. Chapter 1081. After rushing over, Xiao Chen found that Tang Tang was seriously injured. Her face was frighteningly pale, so he quickly helped her up. Ugh! Tang Tang groaned painfully. She did not resist, nor did she answer Xiao Chen's question. She just stared blankly into the distance. Jia Huiyan was originally standing on the side with a black face. At this time, when he heard Xiao Chen's question, he could not help but look surprised. He looked at him strangely and thought, how does this kid know Tang Tang? Does he have a friendship with Tang Tang? After thinking for a while, Jia Huiyan suddenly thought that since Xiao Chen knew Tang Tang, he might as well use Tang Tang to frame him. In this way, wouldn't he be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Or even 3 birds with 1 stone? He could take this opportunity to get rid of Xiao Chen, Tang Tang, and Jia Muzhen. Thinking of this, Jia Huiyan's eyes turned. He pointed at Xiao Chen and shouted, "Good Xiao Chen! You actually know this bitch. It seems that you are the mastermind behind the whole thing. Your schemes are indeed vicious. Jia Huiyan, don't slander me. I believe that Xiao Chen is innocent. He will never do anything to harm the Jia family." Jia Muzhen immediately retorted. Although he was a little surprised when he saw this scene, he still stood on Xiao Chen's side. Humph! The witness and material evidence are both here. At this time, you are still protecting this outsider. I think this matter is done by you and Xiao Chen. The purpose is to kill the people of the Jia family that you don't like. Jia Huiyan snorted coldly. Since he had decided to seize this opportunity to frame Xiao Chen, he naturally would not easily let go of Jia Muzhen, who was a thorn in his side. Jia Muzhen still wanted to say something, but Jia Jinyan stood up first. He waved his hand to stop Jia Muzhen and said in a deep voice, "Xiao Chen, in the kitchen just now, I saw this girl poison the food with my own eyes. Since you know her, you'd better give me a reasonable explanation. Otherwise, it will be hard for me to believe you based on Muzhen's side of the story. Tang Tang, can you hear me? What's wrong with you?" Xiao Chen didn't answer Jia Jinyan, but looked at Tang Tang carefully. He felt that something was wrong with her, because she didn't respond no matter how he called her. Xiao Chen didn't believe what Jia Jinyan and Jia Huiyan said at all. Why would Tang Tang poison the food? Looking at Tang Tang, who was seriously injured and confused, Xiao Chen was in great pain. So he increased his strength and continued to send primordial qi to her to heal her. Seeing that Jia Jinyan had spoken, Jia Huiyan became even more confident. He pointed at Xiao Chen and cursed, "Mother f asterisk cur. Xiao Chen, are you f asterisk king deaf? My grandpa is talking to you. Did you hear him? Don't play dumb here. Hurry up and answer the question honestly. Otherwise I'll teach you a lesson." However, Jia Huiyan was given the cold shoulder again. Xiao Chen didn't seem to see him, and still stared at Tang Tang. After a while, Xiao Chen felt that Tang Tang's injury had stabilized, so he carefully helped her to the side. Then he turned around, looked at Jia Jinyan coldly, and said in a deep voice, "Old Master Jia, Tang Tang is my girlfriend. She is so badly injured. I guess it should be you who did it, right? Are you f asterisk king stupid?" Ouch! Jia Huiyan was infuriated and wanted to step forward to provoke Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen directly slapped him in the face. Jia Huiyan immediately spun a few rounds on the spot. He saw stars, and even a few of his teeth were knocked out. "I'm asking Jia Jinyan a question now. If you don't want to die, get away from me. Otherwise, I don't mind killing you first." Xiao Chen coldly stared at Jia Huiyan. The strength of the first level of the original infant stage was released in an instant, and bursts of pressure spread around. He hadn't seen Tang Tang for a long time, and when he saw her in such a miserable state, Xiao Chen was really angry at this time. He didn't intend to hide his strength anymore, so he showed his best state. When Jia Yubian saw that his son had been beaten up, he was originally enraged, and was about to rush up and fight Xiao Chen to the death. However, he had only taken 2 steps when he felt that overwhelming pressure. He was a little afraid, and could not muster up his courage. He could only support the dizzy Jia Huiyan, and obediently retreat to the side. "Xiao Chen, since you said so, it means that you have admitted that this girl came to poison the Jia family under your instruction, right?" Jia Jingyan asked lightly without changing his expression. He could also feel the pressure from Xiao Chun, but because his strength was higher, the pressure was not so strong. But he was still a little puzzled. Jia Jingyan clearly remembered that Xiao Chun's strength was at the peak of the second level of the demon venerable in the family competition. But from this suffocating pressure, his strength had obviously increased. I say, are you stupid? If I wanted to hurt the Jia family, would I be stupid enough to let others catch me? Before you figure it out, they would all be dead. Xiao Chun sneered and walked to Jia Jingyan step by step. He said impatiently, don't talk nonsense. Now I just want to know, did you hurt Tang Tang? I was the one who injured him. So what? Jia Jingyan was obviously very dissatisfied with Xiao Chun's attitude. He said sullenly, I just saw with my own eyes that she planned to poison all the people of the Jia family. And she killed more than a dozen guards of the Jia family in front of everyone. Such a cruel and sinister intention. It is not enough for me to beat her to death. Since you did it, then I don't need to be polite to you. It is useless to keep a muddle-headed old fool like you alive. Go to hell, Xiao Chun said with a poker face. Then he urged his primordial qi to gather in his right hand and slapped at Jia Jingyan. Xiao Chun. Jia Muzin was shocked and shouted anxiously. Is Xiao Chun crazy? How dare he attack Grandpa? Doesn't he know Grandpa's strength? This was a suicidal act. Jia Huoyan, Jia Yubian, Jia Tuyao and the others pretended to be shocked, but they were secretly happy. This was really a case of wearing out iron shoes and fruitless searching, only to find it by chance. Xiao Chun dared to attack the family head. This was a great disrespect. However, with Xiao Chun's strength, he would definitely be killed by the family head. At that time, Jia Muzin would be the only one left. You! Jia Jingyan was also stunned. He never thought that Xiao Chun would suddenly attack. However, he had been in the martial arts world for decades, so his reaction was very fast. He immediately waved his palm to meet Xiao Chun's attack. Boom! A loud noise came out. Jia Muzin's face showed pain, while the others looked like they were watching a good show. They all thought that Xiao Chun was seeking his own death. However, to everyone's surprise, after the two palms met, they were both sent flying by each other's palm wind. Chapter 1082. Wah! Xiao Chun spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body slammed into the wall behind him. His entire body sank into the wall. He felt a sharp pain in his right hand. His internal organs felt like they were being churned by a blender. They no longer belonged to him. His entire face was contorted in pain. Jia Jingyan landed heavily on the ground nearby. Although he did not spit out blood, his face was pale, and he did not seem to be in a good state. However, apart from the churning blood in his chest, Jia Jingyan was extremely shocked. He could not figure out how Xiao Chun's strength had increased so much. You're not at the peak of stage 2 martial honor? What exactly is your strength? Jia Jingyan held his chest with difficulty and stood up. He stared at Xiao Chun and asked in shock. When Xiao Chun attacked just now, the strength he displayed was extremely vague. It seemed to be at the peak of stage 3 martial honor, but at the same time, it seemed to be at the peak of stage 5 martial honor. It was hard to tell. However, the martial skill he used was extremely ferocious. It did not match his cultivation level at all. How many trump cards does this Xiao Chun have? Why are you asking so many questions? Are you feeling guilty? Do you feel that it's very shameful for a dignified patriarch of a family to be injured by a wandering cultivator from the secular world? Xiao Chun struggled free from the wall as well. He did not answer Jia Jingyan's question, but asked in return calmly. Although he looked calm, Xiao Chun was secretly regretting his actions. He felt that he had been too rash. When he broke through to the original infant stage, he was confident that he could challenge a stage 10 martial honor without a problem. Now, it seemed that there was still a gap between them. Ignorant junior. I originally thought that you seemed to have some ability, and I usually tried my best to respect you. However, I didn't expect that you would actually plot against the Jia family. Jia Jingyan snorted coldly. If I don't get rid of you today, there will be endless troubles in the future. However, although Jia Jingyan looked calm, the muscles at the corner of his eyes were twitching slightly. Just now, after exchanging blows with Xiao Chun, He could feel the old injury in his body begin to ache faintly. However, since Jia Jinyan had already made up his mind to kill Xiao Chun, he would not care about this small problem at this time. He immediately urged his martial qi to temporarily suppress the pain and flew toward Xiao Chun. He used all his strength to strike a palm, wanting to finish off Xiao Chun with one strike. Motherf asterisk cur. Xiao Chun couldn't help but curse when he saw this. He originally wanted to buy time and recover a little more, but this old man didn't give him a chance at all. Helpless, Xiao Chun could only brace himself to circulate his yuan qi and exchange a palm strike with Jia Jinyan once more. Boom! A shockwave visible to the naked eye spread out in all directions like a wave. The surrounding people were shocked and quickly circulated their martial qi to protect their bodies. However, it was still useless, and they were all sent flying several meters away. Jia Muzin's cultivation was the lowest. Not only was he sent flying more than a dozen meters, but he also hit a door and almost vomited blood. The nearby flowers and trees were also affected. Some trees were even uprooted and fell crookedly to the side. The flowers and plants were also scattered on the ground. The entire garden was in a mess, as if it had just been bombed. Cheng Minjing and the other girls finally heard the loud noise and quickly ran out from Jia Muzin's yard. When they saw the scene, they couldn't help but suck in a cold breath at the same time. They felt their scalps go numb, not knowing what had happened. As the smoke slowly dissipated, the figures of Xiao Chun and Jia Jinyan gradually appeared. They were not sent flying like before. Both of them stood in the same place with a very calm expression on their faces. For a moment, no one could tell what the result was. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Jia Jinyan coughed twice and took the initiative to speak. Xiao Chun, looks like you're only SOO. I really don't know where you get the courage to challenge me, a 10th stage martial honor expert. Pfft. The originally unmoving Xiao Chun's mouth twitched, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His legs gave way and he collapsed to the ground. His face was pale, and he wanted to circulate his yuan qi to heal himself. However, he couldn't summon any strength. Xiao Chun, what happened to you? The girls were shocked and cried out in unison. Cheng Minjing wanted to go over and check on Xiao Chun's injuries. However, she realized that Miss Xing had already rushed over and squatted beside Xiao Chun. She stretched out her hand to check his pulse with a very serious expression on her face. Tian Wangshou and the rest also rushed over and surrounded Xiao Chun anxiously, wanting to help. However, they didn't know where to start. When Cheng Minjing saw this scene, she frowned slightly. Previously, when Xiao Chun and Jia Muzin brought Miss Xing back, they had already explained everything clearly. However, they were still looked down upon by the girls. Although Xiao Chun had only said that he had pretended to pursue Miss Xing in order to fool the Heavenly Gate, the girls weren't stupid. They could all tell that Miss Xing had feelings for Xiao Chun. However, one of them was focused on the mission, while the other was busy cultivating. Hence, they didn't notice this point. Old master, what's going on? After a short examination, little girl Xing confirmed that Xiao Chun was only heavily injured, and that his life was not in danger. She stealthily took out a pill and stuffed it into his mouth from a hidden angle. Then, she stood up and asked with a serious expression, "Young Master Xing, let me explain." Jia Huiyan ran over and looked at Xiao Chun, who was lying on the ground with contempt. He pointed at Tang Tang, who was curled up in the corner, and said, "It was Xiao Chun who instructed that bitch Tang Tang to come to the Jia family's kitchen and poison it. She wanted to poison the entire Jia family. In the end, my grandfather happened to see it and caught her red-handed. I didn't expect her to resist so stubbornly. My grandfather had no choice but to execute her on the spot." What? Tang Tang? When Cheng Minjing heard this name come out of Jia Huiyan's mouth, she was stunned. She quickly looked in the direction of Jia Huiyan's finger and saw Tang Tang sitting there with a dull look in her eyes. She didn't move or speak, and no one knew what she was thinking. After seeing that Miss Xing had treated Xiao Chun, Cheng Minjing immediately ran over to help Tang Tang up. She shook her and asked in surprise, "Tang Tang? Tang Tang, why are you here? What was the poison that Jia Huiyan mentioned just now?" "Little girl, you also know this." "Tang Tang?" Jia Jinyan felt a little strange. Why did the other girls around Xiao Chun didn't have much reaction when they saw Tang Tang? But this girl was the only one who took the initiative. Oh, she's Xiao Chun's high school classmate, and also my classmate. Cheng Minjing nodded and said lightly, although I'm not particularly familiar with her, I know her character. She definitely wouldn't do something like poisoning. Chapter 1083. After the explanation, Cheng Minjing tried to call Tang Tang a few more times. She found that Tang Tang's eyes were still blank and did not respond to her at all. Cheng Minjing was even more puzzled. She asked again, Old master, may I ask what's going on? Haha, I knew it. Xiao Chun must be the mastermind. You see, he is so crazy that he even used his high school classmate. Jia Huiyan became even more excited. He jumped and pointed at Cheng Minjing, saying, Since you know her, you are obviously in cahoots. Jia Jingyan's face was gloomy, and his expression was somewhat ugly. His eyes moved back and forth between Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing, and from time to time, his eyes stopped on Miss Xing. His eyes kept flickering, as if he was thinking intensely about something. Grandpa, I think we should arrest all of them and torture them. I'm sure the truth will come to light. Jia Huiyan walked quickly to Jia Jinyan and urged loudly. He was eager to have more scapegoats, so that the possibility of him being suspected would be smaller. Jia Huiyan, don't talk nonsense. Jia Muzhen walked over from not far away. Although he felt that his bones were falling apart, he endured the pain and gritted his teeth, saying, Cheng Minjing would never do such a thing. Miss Tang Tang was obviously framed. Do you think others are as despicable and shameless as you? Humph, even now, you are still speaking for them. Are you still a member of the Jia family? I think you are also involved in the poisoning this time, right? Tell me, do you want to poison me and Jia Tuya to death, so that you can call the shots in the Jia family in the future? Jia Huiyan snorted and immediately retorted. Since things had come to this, Jia Huiyan decided to simply go to the extreme and directly trample on Jia Muzhen until he could never rise again. I say, Jia Huiyan, your imagination is quite rich. Just when everyone was in a deadlock, a voice suddenly came from behind Tian Suru. The voice was so familiar that everyone couldn't react for a moment. They all looked in that direction in surprise. Xiao Chun spat out a mouthful of turbid air and opened his eyes. He stood up as if nothing had happened and patted off the dust on his body. He looked at Jia Huiyan and said with a cold smile, With your negative IQ, I only need to move a finger to crush you until you can't be more dead. Is there a need to go through so much effort in waste poison? This is impossible. How can you be fine? Weren't you beaten to death by my grandpa just now? Jia Huiyan stared at Xiao Chun in disbelief. He even thought that he was hallucinating. He could not help but pinch his thigh fiercely. It was so painful that he took a deep breath. Only then did he believe that he was not dreaming. Oh, I think I have too much blood. Can't I just spit some out? Xiao Chun waved his hand and said calmly, Looks like your IQ is really low. Spitting blood is spitting blood, and dying is dying. These are two completely different things. How can you talk about them together? I think you should go see a psychiatrist and have a good look at your brain. Although he was mercilessly mocking Jia Huiyan, Xiao Chun's heart was filled with emotion. Fortunately, he was now in the nascent soul stage. Otherwise, he would definitely be dead. It turned out that when a cultivator in the nascent soul stage suffered a fatal injury, the vitality in their body would automatically repair the injured area. They no longer needed to adjust their breathing to heal. Furthermore, the speed of recovery would be several times faster than before. This was a special skill of cultivators in the nascent soul stage. In other words, as long as Xiao Chun wasn't killed instantly, he would be able to recover in a short period of time. Furthermore, he would be able to resurrect with full strength. However, Xiao Chun didn't know about this before. He only found out about it after being reminded by the elder heaven ancestor, when he was heavily injured. Therefore, before Cheng Minjing and the others arrived, Xiao Chun had already recovered by 30 to 40%. In addition, Xing Minjing also fed Xiao Chun a medicinal pill. This greatly increased the speed of his recovery. When he stood up, he was basically in peak condition. Hubby Xiao Chun, it's great that you're fine. Sister Sourness knew that you wouldn't leave me alone so easily. I almost scared Sister Sourness to death just now. Tian Sourness was the closest to Xiao Chun. At this moment, she cheered and rushed into Xiao Chen's arms. She hugged him tightly and showed off their love in front of everyone. Ling Er and Ling Qianxue also heaved a sigh of relief. The two looked at each other and could see the relief in each other's eyes. These girls were really scared. All right. Sourness, let go of me first. Otherwise, that idiot Jia Huiyan will spew shit again. Xiao Chun lightly patted Tian Sourness's back and pushed her away. He first smiled at Xing Minjing, then nodded at Cheng Minjing, and took 2 steps forward to stand in front of Jia Jinyan. Jia Jinyan's expression changed slightly as he forced a smile and said, It's good that you're fine. Otherwise, this old man will have to deal with your romantic debts. It's very troublesome. Xiao Chun crossed his arms and looked at Jia Jinyan indifferently. He said, Family head Jia, I think you shouldn't force yourself. Compared to my insignificant injuries, it seems that your injuries are more serious. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was stunned. They didn't understand what Xiao Chun meant. They couldn't help but turn their heads and look at Jia Jinyan, especially Jia Muzin and Jia Tuyao, who were standing relatively close to him. They carefully looked at their grandpa. Only then did they realize that his face was indeed not as rosy as before. Instead, it was faintly glowing with a hint of green, and his standing posture was a little hunched, not as straight as usual. Ha, Xiao Chun, I think you're trying to make a false accusation. Jia Huiyan laughed loudly and said insolently, Let me tell you, you're simply a lunatic talking nonsense. My grandfather's body is so healthy. Jia Huiyan still wanted to say a few more words to mock Xiao Chun. However, before he could finish, something unexpected happened. Jia Jinyan suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of black blood. He helplessly smiled and said, Hee, this old man has indeed underestimated you. I thought I hid it very well. I didn't expect that you would still see through me. After he finished speaking, he clutched his chest and fell to the ground. Grandpa, what happened to you? Jia Muzin's expression changed. He quickly ran over and grabbed Jia Jinyan's arm. He helped Jia Jinyan up and carefully leaned on his shoulder. Jia Huiyan and the others were even more shocked. They didn't expect that Jia Jinyan would fall to the ground just like that. They suddenly didn't know what to do. However, Jia Yubian and Jia Yudo were still relatively calm. The two of them quickly stepped forward. One came over to help support Jia Jinyan, while the other took out a pill from his bosom and let Jia Jinyan take it. Chapter 1084. Old Master Jia, I really admire you. You knew that your old wounds haven't healed yet, but you still dared to fight me with all your strength. If I were stronger, I'm afraid that even the best treasures wouldn't be able to save you, Xiao Chun said faintly, still standing where he was. Originally, with Xiao Chun's strength, it was indeed impossible for him to gain the upper hand against a 10th layer venerable. However, Jia Jinyan's old injuries had helped Xiao Chun a lot. If Jia Jinyan's old injuries hadn't acted up, and he hadn't used his full strength, it would have been difficult to determine the outcome of the battle. Jia Jinyan's face was pale. He sighed slightly. He knew that Xiao Chun was telling the truth. His life could be considered to have been saved today. However, the old injuries in his body would probably be very difficult to heal. But what puzzled him the most was that Xiao Chun had also been seriously injured just now. How could he recover so quickly? Moreover, he didn't look like he was injured at all. It was so strange. Jia Huiyan, get over here. Xiao Chun ignored Jia Jinyan. He grabbed Jia Huiyan's collar and directly dragged him in front of Cheng Minjing. He pointed at Tang Tang and asked, How did she become like this? Hurry up and tell me the truth. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Don't test my patience. How would I know? I don't know her at all. This has nothing to do with me. Jia Huiyan was very guilty and quickly denied loudly. Didn't you bring her here? Didn't you instruct her to poison Jia Muzin, and then frame me and push all the blame on me and Jia Muzin? Xiao Chun stared at Jia Huiyan fiercely and questioned him repeatedly. Although Xiao Chun wanted to kill him immediately, he knew that he couldn't do so before Tang Tang regained consciousness. Looking at Tang Tang's beautiful and familiar face and her empty eyes, Xiao Chen felt sad and heartache. Countless beautiful memories came to his mind. They used to be so close, but now they were so strange. Although the current Tang Tang looked more beautiful than before, Xiao Chen felt that she was not as friendly as the chubby Tang Tang in the past, and there was no sense of familiarity. Right now, she was like a soulless shell, standing coldly in front of him. But he could not recall her memories. How could I have brought her here? Don't try to put the blame on me. Do you have any proof? Maybe it was brought here by Jia Tuyao, right? Jia Huiyan protested with a weak voice. He thought that as long as he insisted on not admitting that he knew Tang Tang, Xiao Chen would not dare to do anything to him. Jia Tuyao's facial expression changed dramatically. He was just standing there, yet he had been shot. In his anger, he was about to open his mouth to deny it when he saw Xiao Chen suddenly sneer. Proof. Xiao Chen raised the corner of his mouth, raised his hand and patted Jia Huiyan's cheek heavily several times, and threatened him fiercely. I'm not from the Internal Martial Arts Guild, and I'm not from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. What kind of bullshit proof do I need to beat you up? It doesn't matter. Anyway, as long as you don't say it, I'll beat you to death in front of so many people. I'd like to see who dares to stand up for you. Jia Huiyan, I advise you to tell the truth, or even I can't help you. With Xiao Chen's temperament, he will do what he says. If you really anger him, no one will be able to save you. Jia Muzhen also chimed in from the side. He thought Jia Huiyan was too stupid. Xiao Chen was really angry, and Tang Tang was obviously the person he cared about very much. How could he still not tell the truth at this time? Jia Jinyan frowned on the side. Although he was a little unhappy about Xiao Chen meddling in the affairs of the Jia family without permission, he saw that Jia Muzhen seemed to support him, and he really did not have the strength to get involved. After thinking about it, he did not say anything. Grandpa, I'm wronged. Please save me. Otherwise, Xiao Chen will kill me. Ouch. This time, Jia Huiyan really felt the killing intent of Xiao Chen, and he was so scared that he shouted loudly. But before he finished, his face was slapped heavily by Xiao Chen. Don't cry for your parents. In the previous internal martial arts training, I clearly heard that Tang Tang is the beauty with a special constitution that Tang Qianling gave you. Right? Do you think I forgot about it? How dare you say that you have nothing to do with her? Xiao Chen mercilessly exposed Jia Huiyan's lie. Everyone present was stunned, and Jia Jinyan's face was gloomy. He looked at Jia Huiyan with a trace of suspicion. Xiao Chen could say the origin of Tang Tang so clearly. Did I really blame him wrongly? I didn't. I don't remember. Jia Huiyan was flustered and still tried to deny. At this time, Xiao Chen was very impatient. He simply pinched a fireball and threw it on Jia Huiyan's body. He said coldly, since your memory is so bad, then you can burn first. When you remember and are willing to tell the truth, then I will put out the fire for you. It's burning me. I will tell you. I will tell you everything. In fact, these are all done by Tang Qianling. When he gave her to me, she was already like this. I was wondering. You go and ask him, I really don't know. Help. Jia Huiyan screamed and kept rolling on the ground. He wanted to put out the fire with sand, but it didn't work at all. Watching his son suffer, as a father, Jia Yubian couldn't bear it anymore. Just when he moved slightly, and wanted to rush to save Jia Huiyan, he felt his arm was pulled back. Jia Yubian looked back, and found that it was Jia Jinyan who was holding his arm tightly. Then he winked at him and shook his head slightly, indicating that he shouldn't be too impulsive. After all, there was no one in the Jia family who could compete with Xiao Chen. Although Jia Jinyan knew that Jia Yubian was eager to save his son, if he provoked Xiao Chen, Jia Yubian's life would also be in danger. In addition, Jia Jinyan thought for a moment and understood the whole line. Since Tang Tang was brought in by Jia Huiyan, then she shouldn't have poisoned the whole family. Jia Huiyan probably didn't like Jia Muzhen or Xiao Chen, so he sent Tang Tang to poison them. As a result, she was caught red-handed. After Xiao Chen came over, he found that he actually knew this chick. After deducing it clearly, Jia Jinyan was a bit unhappy. If Jia Huiyan didn't like Jia Muzhen, then he should have defeated him in a fair and square family competition. Even if he had made outstanding contributions in other fields, maybe I would have considered it. Now, he actually came up with this kind of dirty and insidious method. It was too shameful. Shameful. Chapter 1085. Although Jia Yubian understood Jia Jingyan's meaning, he also knew that he was no match for Xiao Chun when he saw Jia Huyan's burning body, and his eyes were about to bleed. He could only gnash his teeth and stand on the side, thinking of ways to deal with Xiao Chun. Oh, well, I guess you don't know. Then why did you send her to the kitchen? Are you trying to poison the entire Jia clan? Xiao Chun asked casually. Just now, Xiao Chun had already sensed that Jia Yubian wanted to rush over, and was waiting for him to come to him, so he could deal with him together. He didn't expect this cunning guy to hold back. No, I didn't. Oh, I wanted to poison Jia Musen to death. No other purpose. At this time, Jia Huyan was truly Huyan. His body was burning with raging fire. Standing around, the Jia family members all had different expressions. Jia Musen was a little angry, and despised Jia Huyan's sinister intention. Jia Jingyan was angry that Jia Huyan didn't want to fight. Jia Tuyao and Jia Yudo didn't join in, watching the show with relish, while Jia Yubian helplessly closed his eyes. Since you finally told me the truth, I'll put out the fire for you. Xiao Chun slowly condensed a water ball in his right hand, and threw it to Jia Huyan's body to put out the fire. After the fire was completely extinguished, Xiao Chun turned his head and asked Jia Musen, "Young patriarch, how do you think we should deal with this fellow who tried to poison you with ill intentions? I'll listen to you." Jia Musen was stunned at first, but he quickly understood Xiao Chun's intention. So he thought for a while and said, "Xiao Chun, I know you want to kill Jia Huyan, but since he is a member of the Jia family, I'll spare his life today." "Oh, okay." Xiao Chun nodded casually and lifted his leg to kick Jia Huyan's dantian. In fact, he deliberately asked this because he wanted to establish Jia Musen's image. He also knew that Jia Musen wouldn't let Jia Huyan die just like that. Anyway, his kick had already turned Jia Huyan into a cripple. In the future, he wouldn't be able to make a fuss. Seeing that Xiao Chun had agreed to Jia Musen's suggestion, Jia Huyan, who was lying on the ground, was still rejoicing that he had managed to preserve his life. However, he immediately felt a kick to his lower abdomen, followed by a sharp pain that felt like a knife was being twisted. It was obvious that his dantian had been crippled by Xiao Chun. "Ayo!" Jia Huyan painfully howled. He rolled back and forth on the ground for a while. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and fainted. Seeing Jia Huyan's miserable state, Jia Jingyan secretly sighed. How could he not know that Xiao Chun asked this intentionally? However, the surrounding Jia clan members would probably feel that Jia Musen was indeed magnanimous. After all, this guy almost poisoned him to death, but he still spared Jia Huyan's life. As the young patriarch, wasn't it a good character to treat his clansmen with warmth and tolerance? "Saori, do you know how to get to the Tang clan?" Xiao Chun had solved the problem perfectly. He stood up and clapped his hands to help Cheng Minjing. He carefully took Tang Tang and helped her to walk to Jia Musen's courtyard. The other women followed behind him obediently. "Of course I know. However, Sister Saori doesn't want to go back." "Honey Xiao Chun, why are you asking this?" Tian Saori walked beside Xiao Chun and asked with her head tilted. "Oh, I have to think of a way to cure Tang Tang and restore her original appearance. Then, we will go to the Tang clan and settle the score with Tang Qianling. Anyway, your surname is not Tang anymore. It's a good opportunity to dissolve the relationship with them," Xiao Chun explained calmly. He had long disliked Tang Qianling. How could a fool like him have the nerve to call himself the third young master? Taking this opportunity, Xiao Chun planned to kill him directly. Yeah. Sister Saori has long wanted to deal with that brat. "Honey Xiao Chun, you know me too well." Tian Saori clenched her fist and waved it in the air. She said excitedly, "That's right. After Sister Saori practiced the 5 Poison Secret Manual, I feel much stronger than before. When the time comes, let me go and punch Tang Qianling a few times to vent my anger." Jia Jingyan frowned as he watched Xiao Chun and the others leave. He had a bad feeling in his heart. The venerable realm was about to open. If Xiao Chun rashly went to cause trouble, It would not be good for the Jia clan. After all, everyone knew that Xiao Chun was Jia Muzin's friend and external help. If he went to the Jia clan and did not explain clearly, the Tang clan might misunderstand and think that it was the Jia clan's idea. That would be troublesome. Yubian, bring Huoyan back to treat his injuries first. You too, take some people to clean up the scene and block the kitchen walls. Also, send more people to strengthen the security. Don't let any strangers near the kitchen. Jia Jinyan sighed and calmed himself down as he gave his orders. Yes, father. I'll do it now. Jia Yudo, who had been hiding at the side, quickly stood up and nodded. He called a few servants of the Jia clan and brought his son, Jia Tuyao, to carry out the order. Jia Yubian apologized to Jia Jinyan and hurriedly ran over. He carried the fainted Jia Huyan on his back and strode towards his own courtyard. Muzin, send me back to the study. I have something to tell you. Jia Jinyan turned around and walked towards the study with his hands behind his back. His figure was somewhat desolate and helpless. Based on the current situation, only Jia Muzin could say a few words to Xiao Chun. Jia Jinyan thought about it and could only choose to tell him his worries and then let him pass it on to Xiao Chun. Only this method would work. Yes, grandfather. Jia Muzin nodded and agreed. He could roughly guess that what Jia Jinyan wanted to say must be related to Xiao Chun. He hurriedly trotted a few steps and helped Jia Jinyan to the study. After Jia Yubian carried Jia Huyan back to the room, he wanted to give him some painkillers. However, Jia Huyan was in a coma and couldn't swallow it. He could only give him an injection of painkillers. Then he took out a plaster to treat burns and applied it to several more serious parts of his body. Finally, he wrapped it with bandages. Only then did the initial treatment come to an end. At this time, Jia Huyan, who was lying on the bed, looked like a mummy. Jia Yubian stood by the bed and looked at him for a long time. He sighed slightly and ordered the servants to take good care of Jia Huyan. Then he took out his mobile phone and walked out. Originally, Jia Huyan's burns could only be applied with painkillers and plasters. If he didn't pay attention to taking care of it, it might leave horrible scars. Only by relying on some medicinal pellets that were specially refined in the internal martial arts world could he recover immediately. In addition, Jia Huyan's dantian had been destroyed by Xiao Chun. He was already an ordinary person without any ability. If he wanted to repair his dantian, he would need the rare natural treasures of the internal martial arts world. Chapter 1086. However, although the Jia family was one of the three major families in the martial arts world, the treasures in their inventory were pitifully few. Usually, they could only rely on high-quality spiritual jades to exchange for some common materials. Elixirs for skin remodeling and dantian repairing were even more scarce. Therefore, Jia Yubian could only try to contact some other sects and families, hoping to exchange some elixirs with spiritual jades. However, after contacting some of the people who were close to him, and usually called him brothers, Jia Yubian was very surprised by the answers he received. Those people seemed to have unified their statements, and were all playing Tai Chi with Jia Yubian. They were either perfunctory, laughing and changing the topic, or saying that they had something to do, and hung up in a hurry. There were even a few people who didn't pick up his phone at all, completely treating him like air. Staring at the phone in his hand, Jia Yubian was a little annoyed, but he quickly figured out the reason. As Jia Muzin officially took the position in the family meeting and became the young master, many people's goals had already changed, and they began to curry favor with him. Now that they had this young master to rely on, who would care about him, an elder? Moreover, he was a has-been elder. Even Jia Huyan, who had become a probationary elder, was a guy who had given the young master a hard time. How could he have a bright future? Elixirs to repair dantian were so precious. Even if Jia Yubian had enough spiritual jades to exchange for them, those people would not easily agree. With this bargaining chip in hand, they would definitely give priority to Jia Muzin, who would care about him as been elder. After thinking through the cause and effect, Jia Yubian was sad and angry. On the one hand, he was angry at the cold-hearted people, and on the other hand, he felt sad for his son's failure. When he was extremely depressed, Jia Yubian raised his hand high, wanting to smash the phone. After a long time, he finally put it down and looked at the phone in a daze. Looking at the last number in the address book, Jia Yubian hesitated for a while, took a deep breath, and finally pressed the dial button. Then he put the phone to his ear, waiting for the other party to pick up. After an unknown period of time, Jia Huiyan finally woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw his father, Jia Yubian, sitting on the bedside. His face was full of wrinkles. His heart twitched, and he pretended to be calm and said, "Father, am I finished? Will I never be able to cultivate again? Will I only be able to be bullied by others like trash?" He tried his best to remain calm, but when he spoke, his voice was very hoarse. As he spoke, he even seemed to be gnashing his teeth. You're awake?" Jia Yubian was thinking about something when he regained his wits. When he heard Jia Huiyan's words and saw Jia Huiyan's miserable appearance, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. He softened his voice and said, "Huiyan, don't worry. I will definitely think of a way to restore your dantian to its original state. As long as I'm still alive, no one will dare to bully you." But that fellow Xiao Chen. Jia Huiyan recalled the scene outside the kitchen and involuntarily clenched his fists. He said agitatedly, "Father, I really can't accept this. Why did Xiao Chen dare to use violence against me in public? That's in our Jia clan's territory." Ouch. The more Jia Huiyan spoke, the more agitated he became. He accidentally tore a few wounds on his body. It was so painful that he grimaced in pain and almost fainted again. "Don't talk for now. You're seriously injured now. It's not suitable for you to fight. It's more important for you to recuperate and restore your body." Jia Yubian was shocked. He quickly gave Jia Huiyan a painkiller and applied ointment on a few places on his body that were bleeding again. However, Jia Huiyan was unwilling to let it go. He continued to shout angrily, "I can understand that you didn't dare to resist at that time. But why didn't even grandfather ask about it? Could it be that he's also afraid of Xiao Chen? I don't understand. The Jia clan is one of the 3 big clans in the martial arts world. Could it be that even if we gathered all the financial and material resources of the Jia clan, we still can't kill a mere rogue cultivator in the secular world?" Jia Yubian was silent for a while. He gently patted Jia Huiyan's shoulder and said, "Leave the problem of Xiao Chen to me. I will definitely help you take revenge this time. But now is not the time. You are a direct descendant of our Jia clan. Since your grandfather doesn't care about it, then I will do it myself." "Ah. Why did you?" Jia Huiyan stared blankly. He asked hesitantly. This was the first time he had heard his father curse. Moreover, the target was his grandfather. This subverted image made him unable to accept it for a moment. Jia Yubian didn't answer. The expression on his face gradually changed from one of regret and sorrow to one of malevolence and evil. Under the changing light outside the window, it seemed somewhat terrifying. Jia Huiyan didn't pay attention to this detail. Instead, he carefully pondered over Jia Yubian's previous words. Suddenly his eyes lit up. He impatiently asked, "Father, did you think of another good idea? But this time, we can't act like before. We have to be a bit more cautious. After all, Xiao Chen is indeed not easy to deal with. Even grandfather can only fight him to a draw. It's too dangerous to act rashly." "Who said that I want to deal with Xiao Chen? He's not the only one who can pose a threat to us." Jia Yubian coldly smiled and asked, "Oh, could it be that we want to deal with Jia Muzin? That's also fine. I've long since found him an eyesore. It doesn't matter who gets rid of him or Xiao Chen. In any case, it's fine as long as we can hand over the position of family head in the end." Jia Huiyan thought he understood Jia Yubian's intentions and said with a look of sudden realization. Jia Yubian didn't speak again. He seemed to be thinking about something. Although the last phone call just now didn't succeed in exchanging for the elixir, the other party provided him with more valuable information. Therefore, before Jia Huiyan woke up, Jia Yubian had been thinking about the feasibility of this matter. "Father, what's wrong with you?" Jia Huiyan saw that Jia Yubian was in a daze again. He tentatively shouted. He suddenly felt that he couldn't understand Jia Yubian's thoughts. Since he woke up, His father seemed to have changed into a different person. There was an indescribable feeling. They will die sooner or later. But we have to first. Jia Yubian came back to his senses. A trace of ruthlessness flashed through his eyes. Then, he explained his plan in detail. In Jia Muzin's courtyard, Tang Tang was sitting in Xiao Chen's room in a daze. No matter what others said or did, she didn't respond. Xiao Chen had checked her body several times with his primordial qi, but he didn't find anything unusual. First, she didn't show any signs of poisoning. Second, she didn't have any instrument to control her mind. But now, she was definitely being controlled by someone. Chapter 1087. After trying several times, Xiao Chen felt a little helpless. He asked for help in the sea of consciousness. Elder Heaven Ancestor, can you help me see what's going on with Tang Tang? I can't find any abnormality in her at all. But it's obviously abnormal. I don't know. When you checked with primordial qi just now, I also checked with her. It's the first time I've seen such a phenomenon. Elder Heaven Ancestor shook his head and said regretfully. Elder Heaven Ancestor was also at his wit's end. He had expected that Xiao Chen would definitely come to ask him. So he wanted to do some homework first, but he didn't expect to come back empty-handed. Alas, it seems that you're not omnipotent. I thought you knew everything. Xiao Chen sighed helplessly. With a glimmer of hope, he checked again with primordial qi, but it was still the same. He found nothing. Just when Xiao Chen's hope was shattered, and he was almost desperate and helpless, a little demon in the sea of consciousness suddenly said, Master, I have a little presumptuous opinion. This girl seems to have been injected with a kind of potion. Potion? What kind of potion? Xiao Chen's spirit was lifted and he asked quickly. I don't know the specific name, but as far as I know, this kind of potion seems to have been in the experimental stage. Although it can enhance the user's cultivation, it will be controlled by others, and it will cause great harm to the user's body. And little demon tried hard to recall, and replied word by word. Really? How do you know? Forget it. Tell me first, how do I get rid of this effect? What antidote do I need? Or what kind of treasures do I need? Just tell me, and I'll get it right away, Xiao Chen said eagerly. At this time, there was a glimmer of hope in his heart. As long as Tang Tang could be cured, he could accept it no matter how much it cost. I can't remember it clearly. After all, it's been a long time in my memory. Please allow me to recall it carefully. When I remember it, I'll tell you immediately. And little demon stammered. And Xiaoma was also helpless. Her essence soul had been in seclusion for too long. Furthermore, she had been in hibernation for a long time, due to her recent injuries. She had just woken up, so her memories were a little messy. Holy *T. Are you messing with me? Believe it or not, I will directly crush you to death. Hurry up and say it, don't dawdle. Xiao Chen was very anxious, he roared fiercely. Since an little demon said that the drug was harmful to Tang Tang's body, it must be expelled as soon as possible. What if Tang Tang was poisoned to death because of him? Don't, master. I'm telling the truth. How would I dare to fool you? I really can't remember. And Xiaoma was so scared that he begged for mercy. He also felt very depressed. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have said so much just now. He didn't know how to end this. Xiao Chen still wanted to continue to ask, but he heard the door creak. Jia Muzin walked in with a heavy heart. After just a few steps, Jia Muzin looked up and saw Xiao Chen taking care of Tang Tang. He first took a step to the side subconsciously, wanting to leave for a while. But after taking a step, he stopped and hesitated to say something. He looked like he wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. Mu-san, I'm done here. Do you have something to tell me? Upon seeing this, Xiao Chen first covered Tang Tang with a quilt. He was too lazy to pay attention to Xiaomo anymore. He stood up and walked towards Jia Muzin. Well, it's actually not a big deal. It's just that my grandfather came to me just now and asked me to pass on a few words to you. Jia Muzin touched his nose, a little hesitant. What words? Just say it. There's no need to hold back. Whatever anger I have, it won't be directed at you, Xiao Chen said with a smile. Grandpa thinks that when you go to the Tang family, Can you not make things too big? Jia Muzin hesitated for a while, but he still said what Jia Jinyan had just said to him. After all, everyone knows that you are my friend. If the Tang family is angry at the Jia family because of this, then our Jia family will be in trouble. After saying that, Jia Muzin lowered his head in embarrassment. Originally, he didn't want to pass on the message. What Xiao Chun did was his right. He was just his friend. How could he interfere with his freedom? Besides, even if he were to think about it from another perspective, Jia Muzin thought that if his girlfriend was played like this, then he would definitely try his best to take revenge. This was too normal. Those who stopped him were the ones who didn't care about human nature. But just now, looking at his grandfather who had aged a lot in an instant, and his earnest analysis and explanation to him, Jia Muzin really couldn't refuse when the words of refusal were on the tip of his tongue. If it was to support Xiao Chun, Jia Muzin could give up the position of the young master of the family. But he couldn't watch the Jia family, which his grandfather had been worried about for a lifetime, be destroyed. Oh, I thought it was something big. You tell the old master that he doesn't have to worry too much. I'm just going to settle accounts with Tang Qianling. It won't involve the other Tang family members. Xiao Chun smiled and said indifferently, since every debt had a debtor, he would not go against the entire Tang family. Moreover, since Jia Muzin had said so, he would definitely give him face. Really? Jia Muzin suddenly raised his head, and his eyes were full of surprise. Seeing Xiao Chun nodding, he suddenly showed a smile. Great, then I'm much more relieved. Well, you take care of Tang Tang first. I'll go back to my grandfather so that he won't worry all the time. Hearing Xiao Chun's words, Jia Muzin was relieved from the bottom of his heart. He was quite afraid that Xiao Chun would be angry and turn the Tang family upside down. After all, Xiao Chun's strength was too terrifying. Even the Tang family couldn't compete with him. It's okay. I'll go with you. Xiao Chun patted Jia Muzin's shoulder and pointed at the unconscious Tang Tang on the bed. He said softly, coincidentally, I have something that I would like to ask the old patriarch about. Perhaps he knows why Tang Tang became like this. He might have a solution. After that, Xiao Chun found a few women and asked them to help take care of Tang Tang. Then he walked to the study with Jia Muzin. Jia Muzin didn't object. He knew Xiao Chun and knew that this guy had a sense of propriety. He wouldn't take advantage of Jia Jinyan's injury to mess around. Jia Muzin estimated that Tang Tang's condition had involved the core secrets of the family. It might be the secret of the Tang family and the Jia family. In addition to the family master, only the elders knew. Otherwise, he wouldn't know nothing about this situation. On the way to the study, Jia Muzin secretly prayed that his grandfather knew how to help Tang Tang return to normal. In this way, Xiao Chun's resentment toward the Jia family would be less. Chapter 1088. After all, it was Grandpa who hurt Tang Tang without knowing it. Old Master Jia, how are your injuries? Xiao Chun walked into the study and saw Jia Jinyan resting on the bed. So he walked over and took a chair, sitting on the bed and said, well, I'm fine. You, Xiao Chun. Jia Jinyan was resting with his eyes closed, so he didn't pay attention to who it was. He just heard the familiar voice, so he opened his eyes and looked at it. He was stunned at first glance, seeing that the person sitting in front of him was actually Xiao Chun. Jia Jinyan was very surprised. He didn't know what he wanted to do suddenly. Jia Jinyan turned his head and found that Jia Muzin was also standing on the side. So he simply asked what was going on with his eyes. Grandpa, I have told Xiao Chun about what you just told me. He also promised not to embarrass other people in the Tang family. He just went to find Tang Qianling, so you don't have to worry too much. Jia Muzin explained softly, then nodded slightly to tell Jia Jinyan not to be nervous. Oh, so Xiao Chun, is there anything else for you to come here now? Jia Jinyan calmed down and his tone eased a lot. Although Xiao Chun was sometimes impulsive and radical, he was quite reasonable when he calmed down. Xiao Chun nodded and replied, yes. I still have some other questions, so I got Jia Muzin to bring me here. I want to seek your guidance. What questions? If I know, I will answer them. Jia Jinyan raised his eyebrows and was a little surprised. What questions could he answer from Xiao Chun? Xiao Chun did not bother to beat around the bush, and immediately cut to the point. He looked directly at Jia Jinyan and said, I heard that the Jia family has a secret drug, which should still be in the experimental stage. This drug can control other people's minds, and the controlled people can also enhance their own strength. I wonder if you can tell me something about this. Jia Jinyan nodded and said, I don't know, but I do know that the Jia family has a secret drug, which should still be in the experimental stage. This drug can control other people's minds, and the controlled people can also enhance their strength. Xiao Chun didn't intend to talk nonsense with Jia Jinyan. Tang Tang's situation couldn't be delayed. The sooner he got the answer, the better it would be for her. What secret drug? What experiment? Where did you hear that? There was no such thing. This old man has never heard of it. Jia Jinyan frowned and flatly denied. At this time, Jia Jinyan looked at Xiao Chun with some doubt. He wondered if Xiao Chun had made a mistake. If the Jia clan had conducted any experiments in this area, how could he not know anything about it? The problem was, there might be a reason for this. Where did he find out about this situation? Xiao Chun tightly pursed his lips and silently stared at Jia Jinyan, trying to judge from his expression whether the old man was hiding something or not. Jia Jinyan had a clear conscience and was open and aboveboard, so he looked straight back at Xiao Chun with a magnanimous look. The two of them looked at each other for a long time. Xiao Chun's intuition told him that Jia Jinyan wasn't lying. At this time, Xiao Chun realized that Jia Jinyan probably didn't know about it. If he knew, he wouldn't have used force to force Tang Tang to reveal the mastermind behind the scene in the kitchen in the morning, because the person who was being manipulated would obviously not confess anything. Alas, Xiao Chun secretly sighed. He was too concerned. He should have asked Jia Huiyan directly about Tang Tang's situation. He or his father, Jia Yubian, probably knew the truth behind it, but he came to ask Jia Jinyan. He was really desperate. My little friend Xiao Chun, if there is nothing else Jia Jinyan waited for a while, seeing Xiao Chun silent for a long time, and his expression kept changing. Jia Jinyan faintly opened his mouth and was ready to see him off, but he was interrupted halfway. Old master, I believe you for the time being. I really don't know the truth, but I have another thing. Xiao Chun came to his senses and immediately said, in fact, the real purpose of my coming to the Jia family this time is to find the whereabouts of my father Xiao Feng. Your father? Xiao Feng? What happened to him? Jia Jinyan frowned, thinking hard about whether he had heard this name before, but his mind was blank. Xiao Chun's expression became a little serious, and he slowly said, here's the thing. When he took a team to do a task in the secular world, he was tricked by Jia Yubian to the Tianyu mine to be a miner, and then, next, Xiao Chun told him about his entering the inner martial arts world, participating in the mining trial, killing Jia Yutian, and finding the news of his father in the information room. At this time, Xiao Chun did not intend to hide anything. He simply told the purpose of his coming to the Jia family straightforwardly. He could see that although Jia Jinyan was the family master, he was probably not an all-powerful figure in the Jia family. There were many things that he did not know at all. Sure enough, Jia Jinyan was shocked after listening to Xiao Chun's story. He never expected that the whole thing would be like this. Obviously, the experiment of Xiao Chun's father must be related to Jia Yubian. He had always handed over the management of the Tianyu mine to Jia Yubian. Apart from looking at the year-end report, he did not pay much attention to other things. He did not expect that Jia Yubian would do such a thing. Xiao Chun, to be honest, I really don't know about this matter. If you want to find out the whereabouts of your father, I suggest that you ask Jia Yubian. Jia Jinyan sighed and looked a little sad. If Jia Yubian had not tricked Xiao Feng into going to the Tianyu mine, then Xiao Chun would not have followed him. He would not have run to the Jia family to help Jia Muzin, and let Jia Muzin become the young family master. This caused Jia Huiyan to harbor hatred in his heart, and wait for an opportunity to poison him. As a result, he was burned black and blue all over. This series of events had a cause and effect. Old family master, with all due respect, your son doesn't seem to be that obedient. Xiao Chun looked at Jia Jinyan, shook his head and sighed. Sigh. After listening to you today, I realized that he even hid such a big thing from me. God knows if he has done any other shady business. I really should not have handed the Tianyu mine to this bastard. Cough, 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 cough. The more Jia Jingyan spoke, the more agitated he became. In the end, he couldn't catch his breath and coughed until his whole body trembled. Grandfather, please don't be angry. You are still injured. If your bad mood worsens your injuries, it will be bad. Jia Muzin was shocked and quickly poured a glass of water. He reached out and patted Jia Jingyan's chest and back a few times. He waited until Jia Jingyan's emotions calmed down before speaking softly. Mu's son, grandfather has let you down these few years. Chapter 1089. Jia Jingyan looked at Jia Muzin, who was beside the bed with a face full of concern, and his throat suddenly became a bit hoarse. Not only did I not find the murderer who killed your parents, but I also watched Jia Huiyan and Jia Tuyao. These two brats act unscrupulously and forcibly push you out of the family. I didn't even say a word for you. In the end, you even helped the Jia family so much. If it wasn't for your good relationship with Xiao Chun, if he had come directly to the Jia family, I'm afraid the Jia family would have already. Speaking up to this point, Jia Jingyan's old tears were already flowing down. He patted the back of Jia Muzin's hand, shook his head, and didn't continue speaking. Just now, in order to prevent Xiao Chun from harming the Jia clan, when he went to the Tang clan to seek revenge, Jia Jingyan had confided in Jia Muzin with all his heart, as well as his aged appearance, were actually all half-truths. A portion of it was an act to achieve his goal. However, at this moment Jia Jingyan's body and mind were greatly shaken. He thought of how his son, whom he valued and trusted, actually did such a shady business behind his back and kept it from him. If it wasn't for Xiao Chun killing his way to the Tang family today, he probably wouldn't even know that such a thing happened until he died. This feeling of being betrayed, coupled with Jia Muzin's heartfelt concern, made Jia Jingyan feel ashamed and regretful. His true feelings were revealed, and tears instantly fell down. Jia Jingyan clearly knew that if it wasn't for the relationship between Jia Muzin and Xiao Chun, with Xiao Chun's strength, the Jia family would definitely be in a mess because of him. Even now, he was definitely not a match for Xiao Chun. If even he fell, then wouldn't Xiao Chun be able to attack the Jia family unscrupulously? Currently, the Jia family was still safe and sound thanks to Jia Muzin. Grandpa, please don't say that. Ever since I became the young patriarch, I realized how much pressure you usually have to bear. You definitely can't take care of everything, so I don't mean to hate you. Jia Muzin couldn't bear to see an old man so sad, so he quickly comforted him and went to get some tissues. However, what he said was also true. Usually, he felt that as the family head of the Jia family, he must be high and mighty, with power in his hands and omnipotent. However, it was not until he had been the young family head for a few days that he realized how difficult it was to be a good family head with so many things to deal with. Mu Senator, you can put aside the work at hand for now. Prioritize helping Xiao Chun, and try your best to find the whereabouts of his father. I give you this right. All the resources of the Jia family are at your disposal. Since my young friend Xiao Chun is so righteous and has let our Jia clan go, you have to repay the kindness. Jia Jingyan wiped away the tears on his face and returned to his previous calm and peaceful appearance as the clan leader. Yes, sir. But about Uncle Yu Bian? Jia Muzin nodded and asked hesitantly. After all, Jia Yubian was a direct descendant of the Jia family and Jia Jingyan's biological son. If his grandfather wanted to protect him, many things would be difficult to push forward. Jia Jingyan's expression was bleak. He coughed a few times and pretended to be calm. Ahem. As for how to deal with Jia Yubian, you should leave it to Xiao Chun to handle. I don't intend to care about that unfilial son anymore. Yes, grandfather. I will listen to all your instructions. Jia Muzin nodded in understanding. He stood up and said to Xiao Chun, Let's go. Let's go find Jia Yubian and Jia Huiyan now and ask them to explain everything. Xiao Chun stood up and didn't wait for Jia Muzin to walk out. He pressed him back into the chair. Mu son, You should stay here and take care of the family head. As for Jia Yubian, I will go. Looking at Jia Muzin, who was at a loss, Xiao Chen smiled. He then left the study and walked toward Jia Yubian's courtyard. This. Jia Muzin was stunned. He didn't know how to react. Grandfather had already said so. Why didn't Xiao Chen let him go? This Xiao Chen is really something. Looking at Xiao Chen's back, Jia Jingyan sighed. He knows that you are Yubian's nephew. If people who don't know the truth see you going there to uphold justice for him, they will think that you are siding with an outsider. Your reputation, as the young family head, will be in jeopardy. Now that he is going alone, even if something happens, it has nothing to do with you. Jia Muzin didn't really understand. He looked at his grandfather, who had aged in an instant, with some worry. He began to clean up the room for him. On the other side of the Jia residence, Jia Yubian did not notice that danger was approaching. He continued to patiently treat Jia Huiyan's wounds. Other than complaining about the pain from time to time, the two of them continued to discuss countermeasures. Father, I feel that the plan you mentioned before is quite risky, Jia Huiyan said worriedly. Moreover, the key point now is that we can't do anything to Xiao Chen. Even grandfather can't beat him. I'm afraid that he will come to make trouble and ruin our plan. Jia Huiyan couldn't help but shiver when he recalled Xiao Chen's endless tricks. You don't need to worry about this. I have already arranged everything. Jia Yubian sneered. When that time comes, there will naturally be experts more powerful than Xiao Chen to help us. What we need to do now is to pretend to be weak. When Xiao Chen relaxes his vigilance, we will catch him and Jia Muzin in one fell swoop. In order to ask for help, Jia Yubian had paid a lot of spiritual jades. Now that he thought about it, his heart ached. Bang! Suddenly a loud sound rang out. Before the two of them could react, the door of the room was blasted into pieces. They saw a familiar figure walking in. Jia Huiyan and Jia Yubian were startled. Why did Xiao Chen come again? This brat is like a ghost that won't go away. Oh, you're all here? Good. Saves me the trouble of looking for you one by one. Xiao Chen walked into the room with an expressionless face. He walked a few steps to Jia Yubian and Jia Huiyan's side. He crossed his arms and looked at them. He looked down at them and coldly said, You two fools, what are you talking about? Why don't you take the initiative to say it and share it with everyone? That way, I won't have to do it again. Xiao Chen, how dare you? Not only did you injure my son, but you also dared to break into my room without permission. Do you really think this is your own home? Jia Yubian flew into a rage, but he remained seated. He glared fiercely at Xiao Chen while feeling timid inside. He also knew his own capabilities. He could only protest verbally. He didn't dare to directly make a move against Xiao Chen. TSK, I said you're stupid, but you don't believe me. I can just open the door with my own key. Why break into my room? Wouldn't it be a waste of money to repair the door? Xiao Chen sneered. You, little brat, Jia Yubian was looking for words to counterattack. Suddenly, he was grabbed by a strong force. Chapter 1090. Xiao Chen grabbed Jia Yubian's collar, lifted him up, and asked with a sullen face. Say it. What's the matter with Tang Tang? What did you give her? Jia Yubian's expression froze, as if he had changed his face. His agitated mood immediately eased a lot, and he said calmly, What medicine? I don't know what you're talking about. When Tang Qianling brought Tang Tang here, she looked like a fool. My son just ordered her around. Really? Xiao Chen sneered, and his hand tightened. Why would she listen to your son's orders? Why would she go to the kitchen and poison her? How dare you say you don't know? There's a limit to playing dumb. Ahem. I really don't know. Jia Yubian was a little suffocated, and his face turned red, but he still insisted. Didn't you just clamor to go to the Tang family? If you have the ability, you can ask Tang Qianling directly. Holy sh*t. I didn't know you were so ugly, but you're so stubborn. Well, since you don't want to tell the truth, then I can only ask your son. Xiao Chen saw Jia Yubian's eyes flicker, and he didn't want to look at him. He knew the old guy was lying, so he didn't want to talk nonsense with him. He waved his hand and slammed him to the ground. Ouch! What do you want to do? Jia Yubian screamed in pain. and looked at Xiao Chun walking to Jia Huiyan, who was like a mummy. Xiao Chun turned a deaf ear to him and turned to the bedside. He condensed an ice ball with his right hand and stared at Jia Huiyan with a faint smile. Little bastard. Did you feel good being burned in the morning? Gee, look at your whole body like a dumpling. It's not ventilated, right? Do you feel very hot? Come on, I'm kind-hearted today. Let me do something cold to cool you down. You don't mess around. Jia Huiyan was terrified. Before he could finish his words, he suddenly felt a chill invading his legs. In a few breaths' time, his legs were frozen into ice. A stimulating chill started from the soles of his feet and continued to spread to the upper half of his body. The burn wounds on Jia Huiyan's body had not yet healed, and now they were all frozen. At this moment, he felt like he was better off dead than alive. He felt itchy and numb, cold and hot, and because he was wrapped up so well, he could not scratch. In addition to the numbness and itchiness, there were many places on his body that were tingling. It was obvious that the wounds had begun to fester. What do you think? Is it comfortable? Where else is it burning? Do you want me to add a little more? Xiao Chun asked with a smile. No. Ha ha ha. Don't save me. Jia Huiyan's teeth were chattering as he stuttered. In his eyes, Xiao Chun's smile was like that of a devil. Save you? Why didn't you say so earlier? Let me see. Yo, his head is also on fire, right? Come, let me add some ice on your head. I guarantee that it will be so cold that even your grandfather can't recognize you. Xiao Chun looked like he suddenly realized something. He condensed an ice ball in his hand and moved it towards Jia Huiyan's head. Stop. I'll tell you everything. I beg you, don't torture my son anymore. Jia Yubian was horrified and immediately fell to the side of Xiao Chun's legs, pulling his trousers and begging for mercy. The head was not like the thighs. If the thighs were frozen, it could be treated. If the head was frozen, it could never be saved. Xiao Chun didn't stop until the ice ball was only 1 centimeter away from Jia Huiyan's head. He looked down at Jia Yubian, whose eyes were bulging and looked terrified. He shook his head indifferently and said, Oh, I almost didn't stop. I say, what were you doing earlier? I didn't remember before, but now I remember. Jia Yubian held a mouthful of blood in his mouth. He stared at the ice ball in Xiao Chun's hand that almost touched Jia Huiyan, and explained while gritting his teeth. I see. Xiao Chun nodded carelessly. He didn't know whether he believed it or not. Then hurry up. Otherwise, if my hand trembles, your son will probably be frozen into a popsicle, and he'll still be a big-headed doll. If that happens, I won't be so kind as to throw another fireball at him to defrost him. Okay. It was indeed Tang Qianling's idea to drug Tang Tang. He just wanted to use Tang Tang's special physique to experiment with the 5 Poisons secret book. So he asked someone to deceive her from the secular world. Jia Yubian told the information he knew in detail. Practicing the 5 Poisons secret book is actually not a problem, but the medicine that Tang Qianling gave Tang Tang has a strong side effect, so. I've known all this for a long time. Before Jia Yubian could finish, Xiao Chun waved his empty hand and interrupted impatiently. Don't talk about those useless things. I want to know now, how can this medicine be detoxified? And who has the antidote? Well, I really don't know how to detoxify it. I'm only responsible for funding and sponsoring the research. Everything else is supervised by Tang Qianling. Jia Yubian carefully explained. Jia Yubian didn't lie. He really knew nothing about the experiment. There were too many things he had to do, so he didn't pay much attention to this matter. He just wanted to get a share of the profits, so he only invested money and didn't participate in the core research. You don't know? Then, Xiao Chun was about to continue asking, but suddenly there was a rush of footsteps outside. Oh no! Xiao Chun, hurry up and go back. Tang Tang seems to have gone crazy, and she hits anyone she sees. Right now young Master Xing is trying to stop her. Hurry up and help. Xiao Chun turned his head and saw Cheng Minjing running in hurriedly. She was panting heavily as she spoke to him. After Xiao Chun and Jia Muzin left, Cheng Minjing and the other girls were taking care of Tang Tang's injuries in the room. Unexpectedly, after she woke up, without saying anything, she suddenly slapped Cheng Minjing and little Miss Xing, who were closest to her. Fortunately, both Cheng Minjing and little Miss Xing were Demon King experts, so they dodged in time. In addition, Tang Tang was injured and couldn't use her original strength, so there were no casualties in tragedy. In a hurry, little Miss Xing immediately assigned tasks. She and Ling Er stayed in the room and restrained Tang Tang's actions, while Cheng Minjing was responsible for running to the study to find Xiaochen. However, when Cheng Minjing rushed to the study, Xiaochen wasn't there at all. Jia Muzhen told her that Xiaochen had gone to Jia Yubian's room, so Cheng Minjing had to rush over again. What? Xiaochen was shocked and subconsciously stood up. He immediately wanted to rush back, but just as he took a step, he suddenly thought of something and stopped. Chapter 1091. Jia Yubian was secretly happy that he and Jia Huiyan had escaped a disaster. Suddenly, he felt a shadow over his head. He looked up and saw Xiaochen glaring at him fiercely. Xiaochen asked in a cold tone, "Why did Tang Tang suddenly go crazy? Did you secretly tamper with it?" "Ah, I didn't." Jia Yubian's eyes darted around, trying to deny it. "It seems that if I don't kill your son today, you won't tell the truth." Xiaochen didn't wait for him to finish. He immediately condensed the ice ball technique again, strode to the bedside, and was about to slap Jia Huiyan's body. Wait! Xiaochen, don't do it!" Seeing that Xiaochen's palm was about to hit Jia Huiyan, Jia Yubian was shocked. He quickly took out a black token and said loudly, As long as you hold this token, Tang Tang will listen to your orders. If she is too far away from this token, she will become very violent and uncontrollable." "What af asterisk King Wretch? You don't know pain until you kill her. I'll deal with you after I solve this problem." Xiaochen immediately reached out and snatched the token. He didn't have time to look at it carefully and ran back with Cheng Minjing. Xiaochen rushed to Jia Muzhen's courtyard, but before he could even enter, he heard the women's exclamations, as well as the little girl Xing's muffled groan. Although the sound was very soft, Xiaochen still heard it clearly. Xiaochen suddenly realized that the situation was not good. He immediately sped up and rushed into the room. Sure enough, Xing was sitting on the ground with a painful expression. It was obvious that she had just been slapped by Tang Tang. Ling Er and Ling Qianxue were clasping Tang Tang's hands in a flurry. Tian Suruan was hugging Tang Tang's legs tightly. However, their cultivation was too low. Even Tang Tang, who was injured, could not suppress it. Her eyes were out of focus, and she looked irritable. Tang Tang struggled hard a few times, and the girls were about to be freed by her. "Get out of the way. Find a safe place to hide." Xiaochen raised the black token in his hand and rushed over, but he didn't know how to use it. He could only open his arms and hold Tang Tang tightly in his arms. Tang Tang growled a few times at first. When she was held by Xiaochen, she struggled a few times, but when her body touched the black token, she gradually gave up struggling and slowly calmed down. Feeling that Tang Tang had calmed down, Xiaochen secretly breathed a sigh of relief. However, he still held her tightly and did not dare to let go immediately. He signaled Cheng Minjing and the others to check on Xing's injury first, while he continued to pay attention to Tang Tang. When Tang Tang's eyes became hollow again and her body was motionless, Xiaochen carefully helped her sit back on the bed. "Xing, are you all right? Or was he injured? Let me give you a check." Xiaochen sat by the bed and waited for a while. Seeing that Tang Tang was leaning against the back of the bed without moving, he made sure that she wouldn't act up again. He got up and walked over. He held Xing Tang's hand and asked with a face full of concern, It's not a big deal. Tang Tang's strength isn't as high as mine, so how could she have injured me? I was just pushed by her and accidentally bumped into the table, so it's just a little painful." Little Miss Xing subconsciously pulled her hand back as she stammered out a reply. Miss Xing felt very embarrassed. This was the second time Xiaochen had held her hand, and it was in front of so many girls. In the past, she had never done such an intimate action with another man. So at this moment, her little face was flushed red, and she couldn't even speak properly. "Don't say it so lightly. Tang Tang's body is special, and she has cultivated the 5 Poison Secret Manual. What if you accidentally get poisoned? Xiaochen didn't pay much attention and said with a serious face, "Ah, I'm not poisoned." Xing Tang didn't pull her hand back for a long time and protested in a low voice. Xiaochen injected a sliver of yuan qi into Xing Tang's body, and after circulating it through her body, he didn't find anything strange. Only then did he relax a bit. Looking at Xing Tang, whose face was almost red, he asked in confusion, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like a quail and acting so bashful? Hurry up and tell me where you got injured." Xiaochen don't ask. She doesn't want to say because it's not convenient for a guy to know where she got injured. How can you not even see this? You don't have any eyesight. Your EQ is really worrying. Cheng Minjing rolled her eyes at Xiaochen and pulled Xing Tang into the room. In the instant that Xing Chick turned around, Xiaochen used the light shining in from outside the door to finally see an indistinct palm print on her chest. Only then did he understand what was going on. He immediately felt a little awkward. Cheng Minjing ignored Xiaochen. As they walked, she said to Xing Tang, "Miss Xing, don't bother with that pig Xiaochen. Hurry up and go back to rest." After that, the two walked into the room. Xiaochen touched his nose and said to the remaining girls with a smile, "Ling, Qinxue Sour, are you guys okay? If you got injured by Tang Tang, you must tell me immediately. I'll help you guys heal." Husband Xiaochen, Sister Sour's chest seems to have been injured by Tang Tang. Hurry up and give me a check. Tian Sour immediately frowned and rubbed the 2 lumps of meat in front of her chest. With a painful expression, she pretended to be weak. "Sour, don't mess around. After Xiaochen told us to get out of the way, you ran faster than a rabbit. Stop pretending." Linger, who was standing next to Tian Suru, giggled. She knocked Tian Suru's head lightly. Every day, this girl would think of ways to get Xiaochen to tease her. They were already used to it. "Xiaochen, we're not injured. Don't worry," Linger said with a smile. "Oh, that's good. You guys go and rest first. I'll look after Tang Tang." Xiaochen nodded. After sending the girls out of the room, he turned back and sat on the edge of the bed. He looked at Tang Tang, whose eyes were listless, and sighed slightly. Taking out the black token and holding it in his palm, Xiaochen carefully looked at it to see if there was any mystery in it. Originally, he planned to take the token to Jia Yubian again and interrogate him for other information. However, he was afraid that if he went too far, Tang Tang would go crazy again, so he didn't dare to go too far. After looking at it for a while, Xiaochen felt that there was nothing special about this token. It was similar to the ebony token he got before entering the inner Wulin, and it should also be made of ebony. Xiaochen looked at it again and again, but to no avail. He tried to inject a stream of primordial qi into the token, and he found something new. Chapter 1092. There was an existence similar to a space in the token. In that space, there was a utensil-like thing floating. The utensil-like thing contained a little liquid. From a distance, it looked bright red, like human blood. However, Xiaochen was not too sure. Withdrawing his primordial qi, Xiaochen frowned and looked at the black token. He felt that this thing was really evil. With it, he could control a living person and order her to do whatever he wanted. Moreover, the appearance of this token did not seem to contain any technological content. It was just an ordinary piece of wood. It looked ugly and harmless. However, although the black token was not amazing, Xiaochen did not dare to damage it directly. If it was damaged, not only could he not get rid of the control, but the situation would become more serious. That would be troublesome. Elder Heaven Ancestor, have you seen this kind of token? Is there any way to break the restriction of this token? Xiaochen was really at his wit's end. He could only ask Elder Heaven Ancestor for help, hoping that he could give him some advice this time. "Well, I'm not sure yet. Although this token looks very ordinary, it seems to vaguely reveal an evil aura. However, it is not like the kind emitted by evil cultivators, so I can't make a conclusion." Elder Heaven Ancestor pondered for a while and replied cautiously. Obviously, he was not good at this kind of thing. Is there no way to solve it? Xiaochen scratched his head and murmured with a distressed face, "Master, I remember. Just as Xiao Chun was thinking hard, and Xiaoma suddenly shouted excitedly. And Xiaoma could not recall it before. But when he saw the black token, some memory fragments that he had seen and experienced before suddenly flashed in his mind. There seemed to be something similar in those memories. What did you remember? Hurry up and say it. Xiao Chun asked eagerly, once again confirming the fragments in his memory, and Xiaoma inferred word by word. As far as I know, this token should store a drop of Miss Tang's blood essence. It is used to establish a blood connection with her brain, like a remote control. Oh, does that mean that if I take out that drop of blood essence, I can remove the control? Xiao Chun raised his eyebrows and looked at the token in his hand, calculating how he could completely destroy the space inside the token. Probably not. And Little Demon's voice was a little regretful. The token is just a medium of control. The key is to dissolve the biochemical agent she took, so that she can truly return to her original appearance. This is actually so troublesome? Is there no other way? Xiao Chun frowned. Looking at Tang Tang, who was resting with her eyes closed, he proposed his own idea. For example, can heavenly materials and earthly treasures, or the vitality of cultivators, force the biochemical drugs out of Tang Tang's body? At this time, Xiao Chun had cursed the person who invented this biochemical drug hundreds of times in his heart, as well as Tang Qianling, that idiot. If it wasn't because he wanted to practice the 5 Poison Secret Book, Tang Tang wouldn't have become like this. I'm not sure about this, but in my memory, this kind of drug works in the human brain. If it is forced out by vitality, it is not impossible, but I'm afraid Miss Tang's brain will be damaged. If it is serious, it may even endanger her life. Master, you also know that the human brain is actually very fragile. And Xiaoma said helplessly. He also wanted to help, but the reality of the situation was there, and Xiaoma was helpless. Forget it. I can't take this risk. I'd better go to the Tang family in person, after I have dealt with the matter. Xiao Chun thought for a long time, and finally shook his head. No matter how confident he was in his strength, he couldn't risk Tang Tang's life. Putting the black token into his pocket, Xiao Chun reached out to help Tang Tang tidy up her messy hair. Then he sat cross-legged on the edge of the bed, and began to practice, while planning to go to the Tang family in his mind. Outside a villa in Songning City, a cute girl with bulging breasts stood in front of the door of the villa with 2 big bags of luggage. She took out the key and skillfully opened the door of the villa. Then, she threw the luggage on the ground and swaggered in with a smile. Ow, ow. Cousin Menjing, Xiao Chun's cousin-in-law. I Jinbei am fat. Cough cough. Cough cough cough. Jinbei had just stepped into the door, but before she took 2 steps, she was choked by the dust and coughed violently. The 2 large lumps of meat on her chest were also shivering. What the hell? What's going on here? Why is there so much dust in the villa? Jinbei hurried to cover her mouth, and ran out of the door in a hurry. Breathing the fresh air, she whispered, My cousin and cousin-in-law are too lazy, aren't they? Damn it. They did not even clean the villa when I was not home. The door of the villa was open for ventilation. It was not until a long time later that the flying dust in the air finally dispersed. Jinbei took out a mask and put it on before she walked in carefully. However, what she saw in the villa gave her a great shock. Holy sh*T. What's going on here? Looking at the thick dust on the ground, which even covered the furniture and the electric appliances, and even had spider webs in several places, Jinbei was more or less stunned. She tried to call out, Cousin? Cousin-in-law, are you there? Jinbei's call failed to summon Xiao Chun and Cheng Menjing, but a lot of dust that had been stuck to the wall was shaken off. She almost choked again. Jinbei took a few steps back and mumbled in surprise, Seriously? I've only been gone for 1 year. Has the Cheng family gone bankrupt? Has cousin Minjing's villa been seized too? Suddenly thinking of such a possibility, Jinbei hurried to run out of the villa and looked at the door. That's not right. There is no seal on the door, is there? Miss, may I ask if you are the owner of this villa? Jinbei was still staring at the door in a daze when a man's voice suddenly echoed behind her and asked cautiously. Of course I am. Jean Bebe immediately replied. Then, she turned around and looked at the source of the voice hopefully, only to discover that it was a security guard who was standing not far away timidly. Oh, that's good. Well, the security guard was about to say something when Jean Bebe interrupted and asked, Right. Where are the people in the villa? Where are Cousin Minjing and Cousin Xiaoqin's husband? Did they elope? Also, Invincible Dog is not home either. I thought that I had entered the wrong parallel universe, or that the villa was haunted. Well, I'm not sure about that either. Jean Bebe's rapid-fire questions stunned the security guard. He could not answer any of them, and could only shake his head helplessly. Chapter 1093. Jean Bebe sniffed and said angrily, TSK, you don't even know where the tenants are. You don't have the slightest spirit of a contract. Miss, as far as I know, this villa has been empty for more than a year. Also, a lot of property fees and management fees are in arrears. Since you are the owner and you are here, you should pay the fees as soon as possible. The security guard wiped his sweat and finally stated his purpose. Then, he took out a stack of receipts from his pocket and handed them over to Jean Bebe. He happened to be patrolling nearby. Seeing that Jean Bebe was standing in front of the villa with the gate open, he had come to collect the money. What nonsense is this? Jean Bebe frowned and did not take the receipts from the security guard. Thinking for a moment, she said, I don't have so much cash on me. How about this? You can take any car in the garage and find a few people to help clean the place. Look, this place is too dirty. How can anybody live in it? While talking, Jean Bebe pressed the button of the garage. After the garage door slowly rose, she pointed at the few sports cars inside. Well, I think that's unnecessary. Why don't you pay the money at the property management when it's convenient for you? In fact, there's no need to rush. The security guard looked at the garage subconsciously and was greatly shocked. He quickly waved his hands. You must be kidding. The garage was full of high-end sports cars worth millions. How could an insignificant security guard like him dare to take them? He merely looked at them and ran away in a hurry. Hey, why are you running? I won't bite you. You haven't answered my question yet. Jean Bebe shouted. Seeing that the security guard was running faster and faster like a rabbit, she felt somewhat helpless. She was supposed to study in the Heavenly Spring sect for 3 years, and would not return until she finished her studies. But after she went there, she was quite obedient in the beginning, and did not cause any trouble. But after she became familiar with the people in the sect, she began to act more and more unscrupulously. Originally, there were a few sect disciples who saw that she was not bad-looking. Moreover, she had a child's face and a huge chest, so they had lustful thoughts towards her, and wanted to get intimate with her. However, the result was very obvious. In the end, all of them were made to complain incessantly. However, Jean Bebe was born smart, and the leader of the Heavenly Spring faction spoiled her a lot. Therefore, when those disciples complained to the leader, she was not punished at all. Instead, those disciples were scolded. 1 year passed in the blink of an eye. Jean Bebe felt that it was too boring to stay in the sect all the time. Therefore, she went to the leader of the sect and applied for a long vacation to visit her family. She returned to reunite with Xiaochun and Cheng Minjing. But she didn't expect that when Jean Bebe came back excitedly, what awaited her was an empty building. It's so strange. I can't get through to my cousin and cousin-in-law. Even Yi Xiaoye isn't in the villa. Did they go abroad to have a threesome? Jean Bebe dialed the phone for a long time. But in the end, she still pressed the hang-up button in frustration and speculated maliciously. Cheng Minjing, who was cleaning Miss Xing's wound, suddenly sneezed. She was confused. Did I catch a cold? Aren't cultivators immune to illness? Jean Bebe stood outside of the villa and thought for a while. Then, she browsed through the address book and found another number to call. Hello, Chao Yuliang, right? Do you know where my cousin and cousin-in-law are? What? You don't know? Bye. Hello, Lu Zhenming, have you seen my cousin and cousin-in-law? They are Xiaochun and Cheng Minjing. You don't know them either? What kind of lackey are you? Bye. Hello. Is this Zheng Xiaoquan? I am Jean Bebe. Have you seen my cousin and cousin-in-law? She made quite a few calls, but everybody said the same thing. None of them knew where Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing were. Jean Bebe was somewhat disappointed. It had not been easy for her to come back, but the two of them were nowhere to be seen. They did not even leave a note. Where was she supposed to find them? Sitting on the stairs in a daze for a while, Jean Bebe suddenly remembered that Xiao Chun seemed to have gone to Hong's pharmacy a lot in the past to buy medicine. He was also quite close to a girl named Hong Zhu. Chances were that she could go there and ask around. Jean Bebe immediately stood up and took out her luggage from the villa. She ran to the garage and got into her nouveau riche, Jean Bebe's car, ready to go to Hong's pharmacy to inquire about the situation. However, to Jean Bebe's surprise, she could not start Jean Bebe's car at all after she started it for a long time. After a brief examination, Jean Bebe discovered that the battery of the Panamera had run out of power because it had not been used for a long time. It could not be started at all. Having no other choice, Jean Bebe could only carry the luggage back to the villa. Although there were other sports cars parked in the garage, judging from the condition of the Panamera, she estimated that they could not be used either. Therefore, she did not bother to give it a try. After locking the gate of the villa, Jean Bebe walked to Hong's pharmacy. Thankfully, she had been training in the Heavenly Spring sect for a while, and was more or less a cultivator now. Although her level was not very high, it was not a problem for her to walk several kilometers. "Hello. What kind of medicine are you looking for?" Hardly had Jean Bebe walked into Hong's pharmacy when a young clerk greeted her warmly. Jean Bebe looked around first and found nobody else in the store. She had no choice but to turn around and ask the clerk, "Oh, I'm not looking for medicine. I just want to ask if your Miss Hong Zhu is here?" "Huh." The young clerk was immediately dazed. She eyed Jean Bebe up and down warily before she asked cautiously, "May I know who you are? What can I do for Miss Hong Zhu? She is not in the pharmacy right now. If it is nothing important, you can just tell me. I can pass the message to her for you later." "Not here either? What a coincidence." Jean Bebe frowned and mumbled helplessly. "All right. Please pass the message to her for me that Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing have gone missing. My name is Jean Bebe. If she knows where they are, contact me as soon as possible. Oh, this is my phone number." After saying that, Jean Bebe picked up the prescription paper on the counter and picked up a pen. She wrote down a number quickly and handed it to the clerk. Then she turned around planning to leave. "Wait, Jean. Miss Jean, the Xiao Chun you mentioned just now, is he a guy who often comes to our pharmacy to buy medicine?" The young clerk was dazed for a moment when she heard Xiao Chun's name. She hurried to run out from behind the counter and stopped Jean Bebe, who had already walked to the door of the pharmacy. Yes. Have you met my cousin-in-law? Has he come to buy medicine recently? Where did he go?" Jean Bebe stopped moving with a pleasantly surprised expression, and she asked repeatedly. Chapter 1094. I haven't seen Xiao Chun before, but Lord Hong Ying. Lord Hong Zhu had specifically instructed that if Hero Xiao Chun were to come here to buy or sell medicine, he would be given a great discount. So, I'm guessing that she and Xiao Chun are very good friends. The shop assistant's expression was a little excited, and the way he addressed Hong Zhu also rose to a higher level. His tone was filled with awe. It was obvious that this person was also a member of Hong Ying's team. "Alas, of course I know that. Seriously, you made me happy for nothing. Forget it, you should contact Hong Zhu first. I'm leaving." Jean Bebe waved her hand helplessly. The information from the shop assistant was worthless now. She had originally thought that Hong Zhu would know the whereabouts of Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing, but she had not expected to come up empty-handed again. "All right, please take care. If you manage to contact Madame Hong Ying, I'll tell her about this as soon as possible." Watching Jean Bebe leave, the shop assistant bowed and said respectfully. Standing outside the drugstore for a long time, Jean Bebe was completely speechless. On her way to the drugstore, she had called Shen Jingxian and Yi Xiaoya, but their phones were not in the service area either. That's really strange. Could it be that all of them had disappeared? "Cousin-in-law. Cousin, where the hell did you guys go? Bebe can't find you guys anymore." In her depression, Jean Bebe raised her head and shouted, drawing the attention of many passers-by. Many lustful eyes even glanced at her breasts. Taxi. After venting her anger, Jean Bebe took a few deep breaths and made up her mind. She immediately waved her hand and shouted. A taxi quickly stopped beside her. After getting in, Jean Bebe skillfully told the driver the address of the Chung family. The driver nodded, stepped on the accelerator, and sped away. Since she could not find anyone right now, Jean Bebe could only visit the Chung family first. Perhaps her cousin Minjing was in the Chung family? Or maybe the Chung family knew where her cousin had gone. If she could find Chung Minjing, she would certainly be able to find Xiao Chun. Jean Bebe did not choose to visit the Chung family immediately, because her first impression of the Chung family was not very good. When Xiao Chun and Chung Minjing were together, the Chung family had been trying to stop them. Therefore, she did not want to go there from the bottom of her heart. Right now she had no other choice. After she arrived at the Chung family, Jean Bebe paid the fare in a hurry and went to Old Master Chung Tianxiu, and Chung Zhongming, Chung Minjing's father, in a hurry to ask them about Xiao Chun and Chung Minjing. However, Jean Bebe's hopes were dashed again. The two of them did not know anything either. They only knew that Xiao Chun and Chung Minjing had gone missing mysteriously after the chaos in the Kuei Mountain sect, and there had been no news about them at all. The Chung family had sent out spies too, trying to find them. However, the traces of the two of them were like stones sinking into the ocean. There was not the slightest valuable clue. After bidding farewell to Chung Tianxiu and Chung Zhongming in disappointment, Jean Bebe walked out of the Chung family absent-mindedly and stood at the gate in a daze. There was only one place left for Jean Bebe to ask around, which was the Xiao clan. If she could not find Xiao Chun and Chung Minjing there, or if she could get any news about them, she would have to return empty-handed. She would have to end her family visit early and return to the Heavenly Spring sect. Grandpa Xiao, Uncle Xiao, nice to meet you. After arriving at the Xiao family, Jean Bebe walked into the Xiao family's living room in a hurry. She happened to see Xiao Yuanshan and Xiao Hai discussing something. Jean Bebe hurried to greet them, as if they were her family. Bebe, long time no see. Didn't you go to the Heavenly Spring sect to train with your grandpa? I'm told that you can only come back after 3 years of training. I don't think the time is up yet. Why are you back so soon? Xiao Yuanshan was dazed for a moment. He joked. You didn't drive you away because you burned the beard of the leader, did you? No. The leader likes me very much. I asked for leave this time. Jean Bebe, on the other hand, was not in the mood to joke. After explaining, she asked in a hurry. Grandpa Xiao, Uncle Xiao, you happen to be here. Let me ask you, do you know where brother-in-law Xiao Chun and cousin Minjing have gone? I've asked everywhere after I came back, but there is no news about them. Hearing the names of Xiao Chun and Chung Minjing, Xiao Yuanshan's face changed. He sighed and shook his head. In fact, we are looking for them too. The two of them have been missing for a year, and we haven't even called them. As it turned out, before Jean Bebe came, Xiao Yuanshan and Xiao Hai had been discussing anxiously where they should start to look for Xiao Chun and Chung Minjing. Years ago, Xiao Feng went missing for no reason, and the Chung family was also involved. It was a heavy blow to the Xiao family. Had it not been for the sudden rise of Xiao Chun, the Xiao family might not have been able to recover from the setback and vanished in the river of history. But now, Xiao Feng had not been found yet, and Xiao Chun and Chung Minjing had gone missing. Xiao Yuanshan was already very old. His old body could not withstand the pain of losing his son, and possibly losing his grandson and granddaughter-in-law anymore. Therefore, Xiao Yuanshan and Xiao Hai agreed that they had to find Xiao Chun and Chung Minjing no matter what. Huh. They've been missing for so long. No wonder the villa is full of dust. Jean Bebe was greatly surprised. It was not until then that she realized the seriousness of the problem. She had thought that the two of them had gone on a trip. We tried to find them too, but there was no news at all. Xiao Hai looked rather helpless. Although the Xiao family's business was developing steadily, the house did not seem very lively. Jean Bebe considered for a moment and asked Xiao Yuanshan. Grandpa Xiao, may I ask when was the last time you saw my cousin and her husband? Did they leave any messages or signals? After facing the fact that Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing had gone missing, Jean Beibei did not want to let go of any clues. Therefore she asked very carefully, "In fact, I learned it from Cheng Tianqiu. Minjing was almost bullied in the Kuei Mountain sect. Xiao Chun pissed off the leader of the Kuei Mountain sect because he wanted to save her. A Wuling hunting order was issued, and they were never heard from again." Xiao Yuanshan narrated slowly with a gloomy face. "What? A Wuling hunting order? Doesn't it mean that my cousin and her husband are dead?" Jean Beibei could not help but be shocked when she heard the name. When she was in the Heavenly Spring sect, she had heard about such a Wuling hunting order too. The two parties would not stop until one of them was dead. Jean Beibei could not help but frown deeply, worried about the safety of the two of them. Chapter 1095. However, I heard that for some reason the Quishan sect cancelled the kill order. Seeing Jean Beibei's expression, Xiao Yuanshan hurriedly added, "The key is their sect master. I don't know how he mysteriously died. Although there are various rumors, from my intuition, Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing should still be safe for now." Xiao Yuanshan was in the secular world, and his information channels were limited. It was not easy for him to find out this much, and he could only speculate based on the information he already had. Jean Beibei was still digesting this news when Xiao Hai looked at his watch and said softly to Xiao Yuanshan, "Father, it's almost time. There is an important agenda in the company in the afternoon. And according to the plan we discussed before, we have to arrange for people to find Xiao Chun. Do you think we should go?" Although the Xiao family had exhausted almost all of their financial resources and manpower to search for Xiao Chun, they also had to maintain the normal operations of the company. Otherwise, a large-scale search would drag down the entire family, and it would be impossible for them to have an endless supply of funds behind them. "Well, you go and find Xiao Xiao first." Xiao Yuanshan nodded and looked at his watch. He stood up and said apologetically, "Beibei, your Uncle Xiao and I have to go to the company first. We have some business to deal with. Xiao Xiao and you are of the same generation, so you should have more common topics to talk about. When she comes, you guys can talk first. Don't leave tonight, stay here and have a meal." "Okay, I won't be polite with you, Grandpa Xiao. It's been a long time since I've eaten the food of the mortal world. Heavenly Spring Sect is such a poor and desolate place that even a piece of meat is hard to come by. I've been craving it for the past year." Jean Beibei did not refuse and gladly agreed. Anyway, she had no place to go now. At least she felt more comfortable in the Xiao family, and didn't have to worry too much. Although Jean Beibei used to dislike Xiao Xiao, in front of the elders, she would not easily show it. After waiting in the living room for a while, Xiao Xiao followed Xiao Hai out. Her footsteps were a little sluggish, and her complexion was very poor. She had 2 big dark circles under her eyes, and looked like she had not slept well for many days. "You two talk first. We're going to the company to do something. We'll be back before dinner." Xiao Hai knew that Jean Beibei and Xiao Xiao could be considered acquaintances, so he didn't introduce them too much. After giving a few simple instructions and nodding at Jean Beibei, he got into the car with Xiao Yuanshan and left the Xiao family. "Long time no see, Beibei. How have you been?" Xiao Xiao, who looked tired, forced a smile and said, "You've cultivated in the Heavenly Spring sect for a year. You must have become a powerful expert, right?" Xiao Xiao and Jean Beibei didn't have much of a friendship, so she didn't know what to talk about. However, as the host, she couldn't treat her guest too coldly, so she just casually greeted her. "Oh, what's so good about it?" Just like that. "It's rare for me to come back, but I can't even find my cousin and cousin-in-law." Jean Beibei spread her hands and added absent-mindedly, "Also, I've only been cultivating for a year. I'm just a martial artist right now. I can take care of a few hooligans, but I'm not that good." "Who says you're not?" When Xiao Xiao, who was originally tired, heard this, she seemed to have found her soul. Her spirits were lifted, and she sighed again. Shaking her head, she said, "My brother has mysteriously disappeared for an entire year. He doesn't even know how to call home. He doesn't even reply to my emails. I'm so worried." Ever since Xiao Chun went missing, Xiao Xiao had been sending him emails almost every week. However, it was like a rock sinking into the ocean. Xiao Xiao tossed and turned in bed every day, unable to sleep at night. She had lost a lot of weight. So you're still worried about my brother-in-law, Xiaoqin? I thought you couldn't wait for him to not come back. Back when he was down and out, you didn't treat him well either. Now you're worried about his safety. This script is quite ironic. Jean Bebe glanced at Xiao Xiao and curled her lips. She was clearly disdainful of such behavior. Hee, I think you've misunderstood. Xiao Xiao was not angered by Jean Bebe's mockery. She continued to speak calmly. Back then, the Chung family secretly plotted against our Xiao family and chased my brother out of the family. I had no choice at the time, so I deliberately distanced myself from him. However, it was mainly to protect my brother. After all, he's the only male in the Xiao family's generation. What? Are you serious? Back at school, you were flirting with Qi Zhigao. Then you ran off to flirt with Cheng Mingxiang. You even ostracized my brother-in-law Xiao Chen. I still remember it all. Now that you're saying that, why do I feel like you did it on purpose? Jean Bebe was very surprised to hear this for the first time. She asked in doubt. Although Xiao Zhao's expression did not seem like she was lying, how could she explain what she had done back then? Jean Bebe could not help but feel perplexed. Ahem, do you think I wanted to do that? Xiao Xiao explained with a wry smile. If I had a good relationship with my brother back then, what would the Chung family think when they saw it? They would definitely be more eager to harm my brother. So I could only keep my distance from him on the surface and act like I hated him. Only then would the Chung family let down their guard. Oh, that does make sense. Jean Bebe scratched her head and rubbed her chin as she recalled. I was wondering why many of your actions back then seemed so deliberate. It was like you were doing it on purpose. I thought you were disgusted with my brother-in-law. In order to prevent my brother from being harmed by the Chung family, I could only sacrifice myself and get close to that guy, Cheng Mingxiang. At the same time, I wanted to get some insider information and then secretly tell my brother, like a spy. Xiao Xiao did not know whether to laugh or cry as she recalled the scene. She added, also, I don't have a good impression of Qi Zhigao. He was the one who approached me. Oh, so that's how it is. Looks like I've misunderstood you. I'm sorry. Jean Bebe nodded. Her dissatisfaction toward Xiao Xiao finally faded a lot. She suddenly remembered that Xiao Chun had indeed mentioned that he had received an email warning from a stranger. However, she did not expect it to be Xiao Xiao behind his back. It's fine. We were all thinking about Xiao Chen's safety. My actions are indeed very displeasing, so I won't blame you. That's my original intention, so it's normal for you to misunderstand, Xiao Xiao said calmly. She did not mind at all, or else she would not have chosen this path in the first place. Chapter 1096. That's good. Jean Bebe walked to the table and sat down. She did not treat herself as an outsider, and poured a cup of tea for herself skillfully. She had been busy the whole day, and had been running around everywhere. She did not even have time to drink water. She finally felt a little tired. Xiao Xiang stayed silent for a while, then asked, "Oh right, Bebe, when you were training in the Heavenly Spring faction, did you hear any news about my brother?" "I didn't. The Heavenly Spring sect is just a small remote sect. They don't have a good information network. Moreover, I didn't expect them to disappear all of a sudden. So I focused on my training and didn't purposely ask about it." Jean Bebe stuck her tongue out in embarrassment. The days in the Heavenly Spring faction were actually very boring. Jean Bebe was either training or running errands. Otherwise, she would bully those disciples who were not brave enough to do it. Therefore, she did not pay much attention to what was going on in the outside world. Sigh, alright. Then let's think of another way. It's impossible for two living people to just disappear without a trace. There must be some traces left behind. Xiao Xiao also sat down on the other side of the table, and said while holding her chin. Xiao Xiao felt that there were many ways to find Xiao Chen now that technology was so advanced. She just needed time to implement them. The two of them put their heads together, and studied for a long time. They made many guesses about the whereabouts of Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing. They thought of countless ways to rescue them, but in the end, They still had no idea how to start. They couldn't help but feel disappointed when they found the two of them first. After discussing for a long time, they came to the conclusion that their only hope at the moment was to wait for Hongju's call. Apart from that, they had no other way of obtaining any other information. After all, Hongju could be considered as someone from the outer world, so he should have more sources of information. As for the Xiao family in the secular world, they could only judge the veracity of the news through the grapevine. After having dinner with Xiao family, Xiao volunteered to drive Jean Bebe back to the villa, since her luggage was in the villa. She even told the seniors that she would also stay with Jean Bebe in the villa, so that they could keep each other company. Of course, Xiao Yuanshan and the others agreed immediately. When they arrived at the villa, the two women first cleaned up the place. By the time they cleaned up the living room, rooms and toilets, it was already late at night. They randomly found 2 rooms to stay in. Xiao chose the room that Xiao Chen used to live in. Although Jean Bebe found it a little strange, she did not want to fight with Xiao Chen over there, considering that Xiao was Xiao Chen's sister. Therefore, she could only settle for the second best, and went to live in Cheng Minjing's room. While Jean Bebe was worrying and tossing and turning in bed, a different scene was taking place in the study of the Tang family's young master. Tang Qianling was standing in front of the window with his phone pressed to his ear. He nodded slightly from time to time, as if he was talking to someone on the phone. Tang Qianqi was standing behind him. At this moment, this fellow was bending over with a flattering expression on his face, and he seemed ready to serve the young patriarch at any moment. Well, you've done a good job in the past few times, but I'm still seriously short of resources recently. I'm in dire need of more experiment subjects. You should work harder and persuade more people to come over. When the project succeeds, you will certainly be rewarded. Tang Qianling listened to the phone for a while and said in an encouraging tone. Then, he reminded the other party of something else before he hung up the phone. Hardly had he hung up the phone when Tang Qianling's face turned extremely cold. His gentle and encouraging face a moment ago was nowhere to be seen. He seemed to be a completely different person from when he was talking on the phone. Tang Qianqi seemed to be used to the young patriarch's sudden change of expression. He did not think it was a big deal at all. Instead, he picked up a cup of ginseng tea from the tray respectfully and put it on the table carefully. After Tang Qianling sat down, Tang Qianqi finally opened his mouth and said with a smile, "Young Master Ling, is the boy that I found for you okay? It has only been a few days, and so many people have been sent to you. I estimate that the experiment over there will be a great success before long." "It's just so." Tang Qianling picked up the cup and took a sip. Only then did the expression on his face relax slightly. He leisurely shook his legs, but his eyes were still extremely cold. He said lightly, "But after it's done, this person must be killed. Do you know what to do?" Putting down the cup, Tang Qianling slowly made a gesture of slitting his neck. Tang Qianqi nodded again and said with a smirk, "Hee, I know. You can rest assured that I'll take care of this matter." "All right, then you should rest early. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first, okay?" "Well, go back." Tang Qianling waved his hand casually. He turned around and tapped on the computer a few times. Looking at the long form opened on the monitor, a satisfied expression appeared on his face. After Tang Qianqi left, Tang Qianling played computer games for a while. However, he lost several rounds in a row. He angrily cursed his stupid teammates in the game and lost the mood to play anymore. He stretched his waist, stood up, and walked to his bedroom. "Surname Tang, you're living a good life." Just as Tang Qianling stepped into the bedroom, he suddenly heard a man's deep voice coming from behind him. Tang Qianling was shocked and immediately turned around. However, there was no one behind him. He looked around the study, and everything was the same as before. There was no change at all. Could it be that he was hallucinating? Tang Qianling was puzzled. Suddenly, he felt someone pat his shoulder from behind. Tang Qianling quickly turned around, only to see a vaguely familiar face standing in front of him with a smirk on his face. "Tsk, you're the young master of the Tang family with your cultivation? If it weren't for me, Xiao Chen, being lenient, You would have been dead by now. Xiao Chun curled his lips and sneered disdainfully. You're Xiao Chun. Tang Qianling was stunned and asked hesitantly. He had only seen Xiao Chun once or twice before, so he didn't have much of an impression of him. However, seeing this situation, his face still darkened. What are you doing here? Also, how did you get into my room? Oh, you don't have to worry about that. I'm just here to ask you a few questions. Xiao Chun squinted at Tang Qianling and said faintly, if you can cooperate with me honestly, I naturally won't make things difficult for you. However, if you have any delusions that you shouldn't have and try to resist, or shout loudly to summon the guards, then I won't be polite with you. You can try to see if your voice is faster, or my hands are faster. Do you understand? In fact, when Tang Qianling was on the phone, Xiao Chun had already sneaked into his bedroom. However, Tang Qianqi was also there just now. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Xiao Chun decided to wait until the guy left before showing himself. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.